All right, we're live? Excellent. Good evening. It is Thursday, April 7th, 2025. I'd like to call this meeting.
17th.
It is the 17th. Say, I am imperfect. Welcome to my world. I have a great board who stands behind me, and I will say thank you. Thank you for all of the help that you have given this year in all of your service. I will start again. It is Thursday, April 17th, 2025. I would like to call this meeting of the Clear Creek School to order. It is 5:32 p.m.
Letting minutes. Here. Hey. Here. Me. Here. McHugh. Here. Norton.
Here. I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second. Clayton. Yes. Kate. Yes. King. Yes. McHugh. Yes. Norton.
Yes. All right, we've got our Board of Education updates. Kelly.
All right. I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time than normal. Just give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, it's gonna take her a minute.
I'll give you a second for sure. Thank you.
You see some of the front row if they've been watching.
Front row
Like
seats.
church here.
Come on.
Sorry, 3 open seats right up here.
All right. For those of you I don't know, I'm Kelly Flenniken. I am the treasurer of Board of Education, and I have the privilege, I guess, or not, of going first in board updates, and I'm going to do things a little bit differently. First, I want to thank you all for being here. I appreciate your interest, and what I hope to be is your commitment to thoughtful and respectful problem solving, not just today, but well into the future, as I assure you the challenges we are facing are not limited to this budget year alone. We are well aware of these challenges, and we've been aware of them for years. And in fact, we know that without innovative thinking and open minds, the challenges are going to worsen. I have worked very closely with Erica Haig as a member of the bargaining committee to pull together some information and some data in this presentation. And I have done my best to include feedback and thoughts and ideas from my board member colleagues as well. So to my colleagues, if you would like to add anything during this presentation, please give me the hi sign, and I am more than happy to pause and incorporate your comments. I tend to get on a roll. I certainly don't want to leave you out. How do you do this?
Is it not working?
No, but can you just do the next slide?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. So I think it's really important that we understand sort of the state of Colorado schools. In Colorado, a substantial number of school districts are currently experiencing declining enrollment. Specifically, more than half of Colorado's 178 school districts, or 113 of them, have reported decreases in student enrollment compared to previous years. This represents a significant percentage of districts who are dealing with the same problem we are, 63% of Colorado school districts. Most small school districts have a large reserve because their per pupil revenue is higher and more susceptible to declining student enrollment. When I look at what's going on in other districts as a result of the financial squeeze that we are experiencing, I will share that many districts in Colorado are implementing spending cuts, freezing salaries, consolidating and closing schools, and eliminating jobs. In our district, we are hopeful that some of these more draconian measures will not be necessary. But we are all correct in calling this a dire situation. But I hope that you understand that we are not alone in this position, and in some ways, misery does love company. We were asked in an email if there is a comprehensive long-term plan we are following to address the ongoing financial issues that we face. And the answer to that is yes, most certainly, and we've been following this plan. It includes slowly spending down our reserves, advocating for the sustainment of averaging when it comes to per pupil funding, and forming a long-range planning committee in order to pursue a bond in the future. Next slide, please. So how are we funded? Let me talk a little bit about this. The State Education Fund, which is also known as the Colorado Constitutional Amendment 23, is slated to be fully insolvent in 2028-2029. For those of you who do not know, that fund diverts a portion, 1/3 of 1% of the state income tax revenue, and that is what funds education. the state education fund will be insolvent in 3 years, even when they include capping the BEST program, Building Exceptional Schools Today, which we have taken advantage of multiple times in our district, and a very large reduction in grants that are awarded by the Colorado Department of Education. We'll talk more about grants in coming slides. Every year, that fund takes in about $1.1 billion in funds, and we spend $1.5 billion to afford the Finance Act that was put into place in the last legislative session, as well as all the associated categorical increases. As you can see in this slide, we are very, very heavily reliant on the state for our funding, which unfortunately is a precarious position, and we cannot afford to rely on that year after year. The state this year has a $1.2 billion shortfall in their budget, and they are projecting a bigger shortfall next year. Some additional context that I think you should be aware of. The new Finance Act that would bring more money into our school district would require a historic level of new investment into the state. They would require a 5.5% increase in our general fund, which has only happened 6 times in the last 15 years. And it's only happened twice, 2 years in a row. Simply put, we cannot increase general fund contributions in the manner that we need. Colorado has historically underfunded schools across our state and across every single factor that is funded in the formula. So taking from one underfunded student and giving it to another underfunded student is not equity. It really actually harms all of the students and has unintended consequences of putting school districts in a battle against one another for the very limited resources that we have. We also know that the state continues to have a general fund shortfall, and they have historically balanced their budget on the backs of kids, whether that has come to cuts through K-12 or cuts to the higher education system. Next slide, please. Then if we look to the local share, you can see a couple of things that maybe feel exciting about this, perhaps. But I want to tell you that the increase in local share was a short-lived excitement. The way property taxes are calculated was changed over the summer. Residential assessment rates decreased this year from 7.15% to 7.05%. And if our state has growth of greater than 5%, that assessment rate will drop again to 6.95%. Our funding is a mix of state and local resources. An increase in local funding, like rising property taxes, does not provide more funding for schools. It just means the state has to give us less money. So even though we saw a 43% increase in property taxes in this county in 2023, the school district did not increase. Statewide, when you look at school districts, in last year, about 60 to 40 were reliant on state, 60% from the state, 40 local. Next year or this year, we think it'll be closer to 50-50. Clear Creek is closer to 70-30, which does really demonstrate that we are nearly entirely reliant on the state of Colorado to fund our school district. Another important factor for you to be aware of is the impact of the declining production at Henderson Mine. In 2014, the mine accounted for 68% of our budget. That number today is closer to 11%, which is another factor that leads us to even more reliance on the state, which, as I hope that you just heard, is not a great place to rely on. Next slide, please. What you have here are the grants over the next couple of slides that we'll talk about. And while we are incredibly grateful to have these wonderful grants, it is important to note that as I stand here today, the state and the Joint Budget Committee has indicated they're willing to eliminate all grant funding so that they can support the new finance formula. This will impact our funding in a whole other way. The grants that are indicated here as federal funds are also proposed to be eliminated. Next slide, please. You see a few more, not that far. So you can see we have about a little over $1 million that we receive on an annual basis from grants. We were asked a question: what grants are we seeking to help bridge the funding gap for certain expenses in these difficult years? Are there other alternate funds or cost-saving efforts we could take advantage of? We have a strong number of critical grants, as you saw. Our intent as a board and district is to continue to apply for all of these grants so long as they continue to exist. We are looking at all kinds of ways that we can save money. We did find a wonderful opportunity this year, and I'd like to thank our innovative and our incredibly hardworking staff for coming up with this idea to leverage bulk purchasing with other districts. So we will be working with Gilpin and Platt to have Chromebooks and other items like that and take advantage of economies of scale and bulk purchasing. We'll continue to look for those type of opportunities. Next slide. Well, this looks maybe simple because it's like kind of cute cartoons. School finance is really, really hard. I've been on this board now for 6 years, and I have invested, I would say, hundreds, if not thousands of hours learning about Colorado school finance. It is really hard to understand. And that very complicated position is compounded by the fact that the state and the federal government are kind of regularly tweaking the very foundation by which we are funded, making it even harder to understand. Accountants don't even understand, and that is not to be offensive to accountants, but school finance is an unwieldy beast. And in fact, the BOCES just hired an accountant. She left shortly after and stated that it was because school finance is really complicated and hard. So if you have school finance experience, please apply for our district. Please apply for BOCES. We need your expertise. Next slide, please. Bonds versus mills. Let's talk a little bit about bonds versus mills. We have lots of conversation around bond and mills. I'm not going to read that to you because I have a lot of other things I'm going to say. So you read that. The School Finance Act does not provide any funding for facilities or capital construction needs of schools. The only way that we receive additional funding for capital construction or operating expenses like teacher pay is by voter-approved measures like bonds and mill levy overrides. For districts like ours, the cap on mill levy overrides is 30%, and we don't have the ability to raise any money beyond that 30% because that is what the state has told us is the max. And unfortunately, as we've said many times, bonds can only be used for capital construction. They may not be used for ongoing operational costs. Next slide, please. The website there, I'd like you to maybe take a picture or something, because it has been suggested that our bond funds have not been properly spent or accounted for. And as you might remember, throughout the course of the bond, we had regular quarterly updates from our project manager and project team on the bond process. And we regularly promoted this website where you can, and it was built immediately upon the passage of 4A. I encourage you to check it out and see exactly where the money was spent. Every dollar has been accounted for. Next slide, please. Oh, not that far. There we go. This is a slide from the final wrap up that Jacobs did to us in our final bond closeout presentation. With the reserve amount, if you recall, a couple of months ago, the board decided to use those remaining bond funds to replace the roofs at King Murphy Elementary School and at the middle school, high school, to ensure that our students and our faculty can stay warm, safe, and dry. Another important note, the Colorado law mandates that school districts conduct an annual audit of financial affairs. This audit must be completed within 5 months at the end of the fiscal year and reported to the district's governing body, that's us, and then that audit must be submitted to the Colorado Department of Education and to the Office of the State Auditor. We do that every year. Next slide, please. Mill levies. We have 3 voter-approved mill levies in Clear Creek County. I'm not going to read them because you are able to. And while we've said that we're maxed out on mills, we continue to be asked this question. So we continue to investigate and perhaps look for a different answer. And we've looked quite a bit, given the very clear public sentiment that you are all very excited to pay more taxes to support our school district. And we are very excited that you are excited to do that. We agree. So thank you. But at this moment, depending who you ask and what sources you look at, we might not be able to actually do that. We're not totally sure. We are looking. And if there is any room, we would look to be able to do that and run an election. And so again, given the very clear excitement for a tax increase, I commit to you tonight that I will follow up with the Department of Education and I will find out if this 1999 mill levy is included within our 30% cap. Depending on what that answer is, we may be able to go to voters and ask for a mill levy override. On the small end, $25,000. On the large end, almost $700,000. So a difficult data point for you, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, and I will continue to be. The cost of that would not even cover the cost of one group of our employees moving one step on the salary schedule. Next slide, please. Nope, that was too far. Thank you. All right, so we have a lot of budget challenges, and I want to try to be a positive person and think about opportunities that come with challenge. But the reality is the state is facing historic budget uncertainty, and this is most acutely felt by the school districts in Colorado. The state has implemented a number of new programs over the past 4 years that remain underfunded. Those are universal preschool, healthy school meals for all, and full day kindergarten. And these programs, which we are not here to cast a value judgment on, but they will require more than $100 million of additional ongoing funds in order to fully support Colorado school districts. And I do want to talk a little bit about averaging and the success of our advocacy efforts. When the governor's initial budget was introduced, it proposed eliminating student averaging. This would have cut $150 million in school funding in Colorado. And instead of that, we were to work with the governor's office and keep four-year averaging in the budget this year. And the state was able to invest $269 million in new funding. But before we get too excited, the continued conversation of elimination of averaging of students is very much still in play. And unfortunately, the state budget picture only looks worse in years to come. So a question that we were asked, how does the near-term sale of the old Carlson property help improve district finances? And it does, certainly, and we are very hopeful, please send up your hopes, that we do have a sale. And any proceeds from that would be able to go toward capital improvements.
And only.
Too far.
It's very.
So we need to make big, bold moves to meet the challenges. We've talked about programmatic shifts, and we've talked about some other things. The Board of Education has thought about all of these, and we are here to very loudly say no, thank you to the programmatic shifts. And we're disappointed to learn that there are educators and community members that are telling each other, telling our community, and telling our students that we are eliminating specials at our elementary school level. That is not true. We are changing technology and library at Carlson. Technology will be integrated in a better way throughout classrooms, and the library, of course, will be integrated, but it will be provided with a paraprofessional. And nothing is being cut at King Murphy. We are changing teacher teaching technology. To be crystal clear, we are not eliminating specials. We are not eliminating middle school sports. We are not eliminating activity bus service. And at this point in time, we have not crunched the numbers about what it would look like to consolidate our schools. We do need to see if the financial benefit is worth the trauma of such a big decision. And please know, and please understand, we would never make a move of that scale without significant stakeholding and public feedback. Next slide. Reserve spending. We talk a lot about reserve spending. Most Colorado school districts retain between 10 and 20% of their revenue in the reserves. I'm going to give you a few examples. Summit School District keeps 14.5% in their reserves, which is above their policy of 10%. Aspen School District, which I almost would never compare us to, but I think is an important example, did decide that they wanted to dip into their reserves, leaving them with a 6% balance. Their credit rating was subsequently downgraded, making it hard even for Aspen to move forward with some of the projects that they wanted to do. So they are now working very methodically to try to rebuild their reserves to a target of 20 to 30% of revenue. And it is important to understand that using one-time reserves to fund ongoing expenses is not a fiscal solution to our challenges. We were asked a question, well, there is no question that the district needs a reserve. What is considered the responsible ratio of our reserve to our budget generally, and for school districts our size? Can we estimate the near-term demands on the reserve to determine how much could be used in a funding emergency? I do think I answered the first part of that question, but it's important to know that when we put a withdrawal in the reserves, it lives there. It slowly is leaking. That's why I have this picture of this leaky bucket, because it continues to leak out while nothing is going in to fill it back up. We have lowered our policy and we have spent down our reserves to support teacher salaries. Labor, or the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, requires a 3% reserve, and board policy, which we did recently lower, is at 15%. And we consider ours 15 in total, so including that 3% of Tabor. Best practice for Colorado schools is 10 to 20% of revenue. Next slide, please. It's important to understand the impact of reserve spending. As you now know, we have thoughtfully and responsibly been spending down our reserves. But as I discussed in the previous slide, the slow spend down has very real implications. We can forecast the long-term impact of this decision. We can see from this that our district will be insolvent in 6 years if we do not plug a few of those leaky holes or find a hose to fill the bucket. What you can see here is the impact of our gradual reserve spending if we do nothing right now. Financial insolvency in 2031. For me, personally, and my family, that means my youngest daughter cannot graduate from the school district. Next slide, please. Salaries. Talk a lot about salaries too, and I'm starting intentionally at 2018 because that is when the voters passed a mill levy increase to support teacher salaries. But it's also important to know schools across Colorado are experiencing a severe teacher shortage. As a state, we have the least competitive wages in the nation. We also are dealing with the highest inflation in 20 years. So a question that was asked of us, regardless of recent salary adjustments, how do our educators' compensation compare with surrounding districts and smaller districts in Colorado today? If we are still lower, which is my understanding, what is the plan to remain competitive? I'm happy to tell you we are not lower. We purchased a salary comparison tool last year, and when we look at all of the data in all different ways, we are consistently in the top when it comes to our teacher pay in districts of the same size and scale. Next slide, please. Total enrollment. This is what it's looked like from 2020 to now. There is an ongoing trend in student enrollment continue to decline. And with that threat of averaging, it poses long-term threats to our district. Next slide, please. But what you see here, and I've tried to kind of differentiate a little bit between preschool, this line, elementary, and then we've got middle school and high school. So when I look at this and I look at the previous slide, I see glimmers. And I am a believer in the glimmer theory. And while it's typically talked about in terms of mental health, which certainly I'm a supporter of, I think it applies here as well. And the glimmer theory suggests that small positive moments of joy or connection can have a significant impact. And I see glimmers here, like the slow increase in our elementary school population. I see slow glimmers when we talk about building early childhood and finding a way to get more kids in earlier. Hold on to glimmers. Next slide, please. Teacher retention. A lot of discussion also around teacher retention. So our average tenure, if we look at our full entire staff, is over 6.5 years. If we take the staff out and we look at just teachers and principals, our average retention or our average tenure is 6.4 years. I am really proud to say we have a bus driver who has worked for the district for nearly 30 years and a King Murphy teacher who is approaching 27.5 years of service. And if you stay for all of tonight, you can clap some more because we have several more to celebrate. So we do have about 19 teachers that have been here less than a year, but we also have a dozen who have been here for more than 15. Turnover. Lots of social media conversation around turnover. So let's talk about it. First of all, turnover is normal for any employer. I am an employee and I have changed jobs before. There's a myriad of reasons why people leave their jobs. And while people leaving does always lead to change, not all reasons are the same, and nor should they be treated the same. For instance, if someone decides to leave because their spouse is relocated, it's kind of hard for us to argue with that. This board respects the decisions of people when they decide that they got married and they'd like to stay married and that they enjoy living with their spouse or partner. We support that. Sometimes people resign in lieu of being fired. Sometimes people leave work because they retire after years of dedicated service. Sometimes people leave because they want to try something altogether new. That's why I left my last job. And sometimes people do leave because they just don't like their employer. That's fine too. As one of the largest employers in our community, we've experienced all of these reasons. But I do think it's important to show how our turnover has changed in the past few years. Most of the educators who have left our district have left for family reasons. So I'm assuming by your presence that you wonder how you can help. So let's talk about how you can help. There are only so many levers that can be pulled to increase revenue to school districts. We are pulling every lever that we can. And we do ask that you do the same. So I'm going to ask you a little bit, are you helping? Disparaging the school district and suggesting malfeasance doesn't encourage families to enroll their students. It doesn't contribute to a positive working environment, and it doesn't feel very good. The reality is enrollment is the only way that we will get more money for teacher pay and operations without the possibility of whatever that little mill levy glimmer might be. We were asked a question: what can concerned parents and citizens do to further support the district, the board, our educators, and the wonderful programs that make our district desirable for families like ours? Thank you for that question. I very much appreciate that question. You can help boost enrollment by talking about great innovative programs, our 4-day school week, the exceptional opportunities that a district like ours provides to kids. So I'm going to ask you, is your social media post that accuses this board of embezzlement helpful to enrollment? Is your social media post that suggests we have 75% turnover on an annual basis helpful? Is arguing about decisions that were made decades ago helpful? What if you pointed out how innovative course offerings improved your students' ability to get into college? Helpful. What if you were posting about how your child has a newfound love of the outdoors through their experiential learning? Helpful. What if you had a post that showed sun-kissed faces of kids at Loveland after a day of snow dodgers because we have a 4-day school week? Helpful. By the way, those last 3 I've never seen. I made those up and I hope I see them someday. But I will share something that I did get earlier, and I do think people should know. I got this email earlier this week. Hi, everyone. I wanted to write a note to thank you for having the incubator class at Clear Creek. My son, who is a senior, has taken this class twice now and has developed 2 different businesses as part of this class. I have seen such growth in him that I can attribute to it. He has become a more confident student, a good public speaker, and a young man who is not afraid to tackle new challenges. I think colleges saw those same qualities because he was admitted to many competitive schools, including, among others, Cornell, UCLA, University of Michigan, Notre Dame, St. Andrews, and more. He even received a handwritten note from Notre Dame that read, "Our team was so impressed by your leadership at home, school, and in your community. We loved reading about the first entrepreneurship class at your school that you helped launch. We cannot wait to see your impact in the business field." This young man will be attending Cornell University this fall to major in hotel administration. I'm fairly certain his entrepreneurship experience, which he discussed extensively in his essays, had a lot to do with him being admitted to the S.C. Johnson College of Business at Cornell. I also asked him what he learned in this class, and he mentioned public speaking, figuring out what you are passionate about and going for it, working with a team, being strategic. I cannot think of better skills than those in terms of preparing a young adult for the workplace. Thank you to everyone who played a part in rolling out this class at Clear Creek, and especially to his teacher for diving into curriculum and helping her students learn and grow. She has clearly done a fabulous job. I know this class played a pivotal role in helping my son distinguish himself in the college acceptance process and achieve his dream of attending Cornell. I wanted you all to know that this class made a huge difference in my son's life. We need more of it at Clear Creek. Thank you. I think that's helpful. And congratulations, by the way, to that young man who is getting ready to attend a dream school, and to the many other seniors that are going to launch to the next chapter of their life, thanks in large part to our school and our teachers. Next slide, please. What keeps me up at night? I'm so glad you asked. Given the continued budget pressures that the state of Colorado faces, it's becoming increasingly more likely that the BS factor, or the budget stabilization factor, will make a return in the coming years. When you couple these concerns with the compounding effect that districts like ours have, where most of our money is at risk of being cut, whether by the state or the feds, and we don't really have levers to pull locally, that keeps me up at night. The most recent Title VI certification, Title VI is about civil rights. It's the federal law that prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin. The federal government has asked the states to certify that they are complying with Title VI. Colorado is not sending this certification. There's a lot of technicalities in what that looks like, and I think that gives room for some states like ours a position to interpret. So our Colorado Department of Education Commissioner, Susana Cordova, sent a letter to all schools that said a couple parts. It would be unlawful to restrict federal funding because someone declined to sign a document they were not legally obligated to sign. She goes on to say, I know there is a lot of uncertainty right now. I recognize how critical federal funding is for creating the conditions every child needs to learn, grow, and thrive. Other states have been a little bit more on the nose with it. Written things like, if we acknowledge racial disparities, that's racism. If we help English learners catch up, that's favoritism. If we give a disabled child a reading aid, we are denying someone else the chance to struggle equally. And if we train teachers to understand bias, we're indoctrinating them. But if we train them to ignore it, we are restoring neutrality. I hope this goes to show some of the challenges we are dealing with here. And it would be really great if we could work together, not about fighting misinformation in our community and rumors, but that we could work together collectively on a much bigger fight. The one like that keeps me up in the middle of the night. The state of Colorado and the districts here receive about $1.5 billion annually from the federal government. And the uncertainty around that federal funding means our district faces a very real likelihood of an additional and deep federal funding cut. So I ask, are we fighting the right fight? Can we fight the real fight together? Next slide, please. This is a map of our community and the school district spots. But I'm going to tell you, the idea that there are in this community who think that this group of hardworking, unpaid, volunteer community members and moms would be embezzling, shortchanging, or otherwise harming our kids and our community is outright offensive. I've been thinking about it a lot and what has been discussed, most of which I would not know but for social media. And a quote from Brene Brown keeps coming to mind for me. I'm going to share that with you. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of great achievement, or who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. If you are not willing to get in the arena and get your ass kicked, I'm losing interest in your feedback. And before you get angry at me for that last part, which was part of the quote, please understand, it doesn't mean I'm not interested in exploring good ideas. It doesn't mean I am not interested in action-oriented, solution-focused thinking. But it does mean that I am losing interest in combating negativity, and I am losing interest in fighting information that is founded in untruths. Please consider bringing forward questions and ideas before blasting questionable facts on social media. The school board is an honor to serve on. It is paid handsomely in $0. We do have an election in November. 3 seats are up: Erica's seat, my seat, and Jessica's seat. Encourage you, if you think you could do better, please do. There are a few requirements. You need to be a resident and a registered voter for at least 12 consecutive months prior to the election. You need to live in the district that you are running for, even though you will be voted on countywide. You do not have to have a party affiliation. It is a nonpartisan job. You do have to have signatures. You have to have a certain number. I think it's between 25 and 40. I don't remember. Our elections are run through the county clerk. She will be happy to give you information. We would be happy to give you information. Your date that you need to make notification that you'd like to do that comes in August. There are a couple of other dates I'd like you to pay attention to where we will be discussing our budget further. I hope I see you there. I hope tonight is not a one and done. While I know that it is far easier to be angry than it is to be informed, I hope that you have more information now than when you arrived this evening. And finally, if you have questions, please reach out and ask them before you know the answer, before you assume you know the intent. Our contact information is readily available. I told several people that I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but if you Google me, my cell phone number comes up. So, try that. I've been on the board 6 years. I think I've received 8 emails in total. So please, if you have a question, if you'd like more information, reach out, please, and think about, am I helping? Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
As Kelly mentioned, we worked several hours together on that presentation. So therefore, my update is to concur with her comments. I hope that you found that information helpful and informative. I encourage you to take this information into account when giving public comment tonight.
Thank you guys for putting that together. I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's truly encouraging to see so many engaged parents who are committed to ensuring our district operates at its very best. At the end of the day, we're all on the same team, working toward the same goals for our district, our children, and their futures. Just 2 years ago, before I joined the board, I was a concerned parent sitting in the audience, just like many of you are tonight. I regularly attended board meetings and did my best to stay informed about district spending. Still, I'll admit there were times I misunderstood how school financing works and how funds can legally be spent. I want to assure you that this board takes fiscal responsibility very seriously. Each month, we review the district's check register and outgoing expenditures to ensure there is no overspending or misuse of funds. For transparency, these check registers are publicly available on our website going back to 2016. Working alongside dedicated individuals like Kristen Funston and others, our team is actively implementing cost-saving measures that do not impact students directly. These include, to name a few, initiatives such as upgrading our phone systems, transitioning teachers to Chromebooks, and leveraging joint purchasing power with neighboring districts like Gilpin and Platte. These efforts are projected to save us approximately $95,400. As many of you know, Clear Creek District is a hidden gem, one with much to offer. It's time we shift the conversation and start highlighting our successes more often. Our graduates are leaving our schools well prepared for the next chapter of their lives. Many have gone on to attend prestigious institutions such as Notre Dame, Duke, Columbia, Berkeley, Wake Forest, Arizona, and North Carolina, just to name a few. These accomplishments are not celebrated enough. While we recognize that our district isn't perfect, I believe that we can agree it offers exceptional opportunities, from unique course offerings and small class sizes to an unbeatable location. I look forward to working together with all of you to generate ideas and find solutions that ensure long-term viability and success of our district. And thank you again for coming tonight.
As usual, what else can I say? They covered everything that, I would have said otherwise. I do want to reiterate that at our study sessions, that's a more less formal of a meeting where we do have a little bit of interaction with our audience members when it's appropriate during the agenda. And that's the, I've been surprised, since we initiated putting the payables on the website and going over all of the expenses every month, that nobody, not one person, has shown up and said, what about this expense? I'm assuming that you think that we're doing an okay job if we're not getting that feedback otherwise. I'm asking a lot of questions, and we're getting a lot of feedback, and things are moving and shifting as a result of us scrutinizing those things. But if there's more other than the teachers union, we have invited to be on our agenda every study session as well, and business meeting, and they give us their feedback. So that's something different that's happened within the last 2 years. Dust, sweat, and blood sounds very familiar. Thank you for that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I wanna say that I'm a very approachable person. And if you have questions, instead of accusing us of embezzlement, now, future, or whatever, here's my phone number. 303-668-5796. Call me and ask me a question.
Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. I've got a couple updates for committee seats that I'm on. Erica and I serve on the BOCES board. We had our quarterly meeting for BOCES this month. We discussed some issues with our outgoing finance director and how districts were not properly invoiced for expenses by the BOCES in the 23-24 school year, and we were hit with invoices this year for those. That said, we began the process of transitioning to a new finance director, and as Kelly lifted up, that person after this quarterly meeting said, oh my. So we are in the process of looking for another financial director for that group of, for the BOCES. So that is the Board of, my gosh, of Cooperative Educational Services. I said it earlier today. It is that group that we're working with to streamline our purchase of technology. So it is Clear Creek, Gilpin, and Platte Canyon. So we are finding ways to work cooperatively across districts to cut spending in ways that benefit our students. That said, the BOCES will be fine. We're gonna be fine. But again, it takes all of us working together to find those opportunities and to leverage those relationships so that we can move forward together. I'm also glad to say that I completed my service on the CDOT technical team. That was an opportunity to meet with folks across the area for this lovely Floyd Hill reconstruction project on I-70. That was an opportunity to meet twice a month for the last 3.5 years. They are now fully in construction mode, but it was really amazing to watch people come together from a range of backgrounds. So we had individuals who were representing folks that ride bikes. We had folks that were representing semi-drivers, and coming together to see how this construction was going to affect us. So we were able to say, please don't do construction before we start our school day. Can you have it done before we end our school day so that our kids can get home, get to and from the school. So it was amazing to watch that happen, and I would love to do something with all of you. When the minds working together are the way that we move forward and succeed. So I did have my why. We were asked last month what our why was, so I'm gonna shorten that down because a lot of it did hit on some financials, but again, none of us ran because we thought, it's gonna make us famous, or that we'd get lots of attaboys. I ran because I believe public education and access to information, think libraries, are the great equalizers. I believe in public education and well-rounded students who are constantly learning and growing. This is especially true in a community like Clear Creek that comes together and supports their schools and their students. Just this week, I was at Safeway, and Debs, the grocery manager, was like, hey, we can do more together, but let's do that. Reach out to us more. It's more than just asking, can you support the GTIS with some free food? But yeah, we can come and talk about what it's like to manage a department, or, so that kids can get real life experience. They've got a great relationship with Carlson, but it's like, let's come up here to the middle school, high school too. So, know that these conversations are happening and the work is happening. Another reason I ran was for increased educator salaries. I've been a proponent of salary increases in every community I've lived in. I first learned that salaries were not keeping up with other disciplines in 1995. So, yeah. I was a student teacher in a district that was going through negotiations. Educator salary issues are not new. They're not limited to Clear Creek. They're not limited to Colorado. I was outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I learned then and continue to believe that every educator should be recognized for the important role that they fill in training our future generations. While we have not been able to make up for decades of underfunding, I am proud to have served with this team that has worked so hard to provide increases the last few years. We have done a lot, but the future is a little scary, and that's why we need the community to come together to help us in other ways to say, educators, we love you, we appreciate you, we're grateful for you, because the financial situation across the nation is, we're bracing. And Kelly, again, Erica, thank you for, because it shines a bright light on the experiences that, and again, it's not unique here. It's not unique in the last 5 years. This has been compiling for decades. I will remind you again that we are not looking to cut from student experience. I am the mama who attends football games to see the band and the game. But, if you don't know, this is a board that advocates for the arts. I mean, we want well-rounded students. I loved watching one of our star basketball players this year audition for the musical and just own it. They might even be in the room today. This is how we save the future. We provide a range of opportunities today and allow our students to stretch and grow as it will make them better citizens tomorrow. Well, I'd love to delve into my love of curriculum and classroom environments. I'm pretty sure I would lose you all. So I'm gonna just say thank you for coming here tonight. We need you. Our students need you. Clear Creek is an amazing place to be, and there are so many wonderful things happening. We in this space are not enemies. We are the solution. We will come through this time of uncertainty if we work together. Again, I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for being present. Thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for valuing education. And if you want to do more, we've already shared that you can find all of us when you Google, like cell phones and emails and.
Everyone.
I've got a Mississippi extension, so yeah, 601-415-3343. But really, we honor you and we are grateful for you. We cannot do this alone. Thank you.
All right, thanks for all the board members in your sharing this evening here, this evening. Some superintendent updates, gonna have all the buildings here in our district. Carlson has done some neat things, and Lorraine, a couple of things I said happened today and yesterday, I confirmed they did, but anyway, some different things going on there. Preschool and K Roundup was on March 27th. Fifth grade snowshoe adventure, see some pictures there. That actually looks really fun. Wish I could go with them, or find time myself to go do that sometime. Second grade, went to the Butterfly Pavilion on Wednesday. Today, the fourth grade went to the Argo Mill, to kind of just gain more about their learning about Colorado history. And actually going out and seeing something that's far better than being in the classroom and hearing someone talk about it. Sorry if I'm offending any teachers here. To myself, so, but just have those experiences are really important. And same stuff from GPS, they do, I've been over there a couple of times for their morning meetings. They had one that the fifth graders gave on sportsmanship recently, which I found very interesting to hear about. I think that's something that we probably all need to learn about as well sometimes. So to the next one there, King Murphy Elementary, they have a parents' night out, April 24th, so maybe I think someone's gonna come and talk to the PTA from King Murphy, so maybe I stole your thunder on that, but Parents Night Out is coming up there. They had a student Shark Tank experience on a business plan recently. And the staff, or some of the staff, is presenting at the Colorado Innovates Conference on the joint learning expedition between Mrs. Gordon's fourth grade class and the Evergreen Fire District regarding wild fires and mitigation. So like that's interesting things that goes once again, beyond the classrooms, when you learn something like that, it goes out and you'll learn something from the people in our community who are the experts in those areas. So, Quick Creek Middle School and High School, maybe I'm stealing some of Ms. Wheeler's thunder too, but they had a career fair recently with 50+ partners there. And thanks to all the community partners who worked with that, and along with other colleges and tech schools or whatever the case may be of people that were there. So it was a very positive thing. And then they also have a week without hate coming up. April 21 to 24, and Randy may talk about that, but that's just respecting each other, things like that. Another thing going on here is the mountain bike park, and I had some notes on that, so let me pull up my notes here. The mountain bike park, Joe Berry and Ben Shea have been working with some students on this that way. It's actually through a grant, and the funding for it is, so it's at no cost that way. And one question was asked at the study session, well, how about maintaining this and everything like that? Well, they plan on doing either a small fee to join the club, annual fundraiser by the club, more grants or donations in general. So that's something that they've worked with Aaron Berry, our facilities person, on as well. So that's a real positive that is happening, and some different spots with that. Move on to the next slide here, the baseball field, and had a baseball game tonight, popped up there for a little bit too. We're looking to improve that baseball field. Coach Schussler will be very happy about that, along with all the players. We've had some discussion of that. Aaron is actually working on that with some consultants of what's going to work out there in many ways. He has also fixed the irrigation line. Going there, we believe it's fixed until we actually turn the water on around May 1st. We believe it's going in the right direction, so that's a positive. Open positions, I talked to Kristen about this. If you want to share anything about some of the, I know you have some stuff in consent agenda that way, but go ahead. I'll let you go.
Yep, so thanks to our principals, they've done some fabulous hiring. We have hired for next year 2 counselors at the middle school, high school, a math teacher who is in person.
Yay! But nothing against our in-person person right now over there. You're doing a great job.
A teacher to split between Carlson and King Murphy. I did send out, thanks to Michelle McNeil, a message went out to all the parents today and all the families, and then also to the staff at the middle school, high school, that we are starting the principal hiring process. So I have screened the candidates, and we have some excellent candidates, and we will be doing in-person interviews on Monday, April 28th. And once we fill that position, then we will look to fill the middle school, high school assistant principal position, and we are still working on a director of finance.
Thank you for that update there. As far as energy use, I do not have anything to share tonight on that, but Verigy has went through all of our buildings looking at what could we do to save money, be more economical, more friendly to the environment, things like that. So that is happening. I just don't have a report on that yet. And Kelly, you talked about federal funding, Title VI and civil rights. I do have, and that's too small for most of you to read that way. But just an update on that, what Susan Cordova, the Commissioner of the Education Department, stated was that the federal government, according to laws, they cannot just take that away. There are certain steps that go with that. One step being, like, see if I can read my notes here. You have to open an investigation. They have to give an opportunity for a hearing for the state, district, whatever the case is. Then they have to file this with the federal House and Senate. A full written report they have to file with them. And then no action restricting funds can take place till after 30 days. So it's a process. Government usually works slow. So a couple other things that I do not have in slides today. We lost electricity here at, I think, about noon, and it was 11:57 or something like that. I think Aaron called me, and then Brandon was calling me at the same time or something like that. They go, we lost electricity at the high school. So we were, what are we gonna do to those high school students? This is a new one. So Paul was here, and I talked to Paul. I said, we lost this situation here. What's going on? And so we were trying to determine what we were going to do, because we didn't want to dismiss all students that way. I talked to Lorraine a little bit. One plan was to bring students over to Carlson Elementary and have them in the gym, which would have been a very productive plan, we all thought. But for some reason, they weren't really in favor of that. Now, that was kind of a backup plan as we went on. But we decided, we had buses. I had Paul, and he got 2 drivers here. We had 3 buses here, ready to load kids. And then I'm actually reading an Infinite Campus message going out to all the middle school and high school parents. It was going out to all parents, actually. It was. Emphasize this only middle school and high school. We were going to let out for the day. And I'm thinking at that time, I'm reading it to Lori and Sunny saying, does this sound right? Does this sound right? And thankfully, they had a couple of corrections for me. And then Aaron calls, he goes, electricity just came on. And then Brandon told me the same time. I go, Brandon, I already know. So we were within 60 seconds, literally, probably, of like pushing a button saying send, and then I don't know what would happen. But fortunately, then Aaron called me up about 10 minutes later. He goes, sorry for the false alarm. And I go, are you serious? They're out again? He goes, no, for calling you the first time. So anyway, it all worked out fine. It did give us something to remember for the future if that happens. I don't know if our plan was reviewed a little more, so it was I can laugh about it. No, it wasn't really laughing. Like 12:30, it wasn't really a laughing matter. And then I hopped into another meeting, and I think I forgot to call Paul. So I get Paul, because actually Brooks is on today. And it's like, I better call Paul up. I'm sure he knows anyway. He goes, Paul, electricity's back there. I go, oh, thanks for talking to me. He's like, okay, well, you might have said I was for 3:30. I don't know. That's one thing that way. Those are funny things. The BOCES, we talked about the finance percent BOCES. I actually had a meeting with Terry and Mike from Platt, the superintendent there, and a couple other people. I think they have a solution they're working on right now for that too. So, and I feel good about that solution, but I'll know more later too. So that is the comments that I had, but the next thing we have there are recognition. And I'm actually gonna name the names off of people. If they're here, great. If you, Jessica will come around and shake your hand and all that kind of good stuff. But starting off with, and we have those on the board there too. We have Jill Coco, who's been Then we have Brian Inman, who's the assistant principal at the middle school, high school, who is actually, I think he's driving somewhere. He's driving somewhere. We have Rhea Hanson, paraprofessional King Murphy. Tina Matthews, who's been 13 years. Then we have Kristen Betts, who's a first grade teacher at King Murphy. Then we have, the next is Patty Quine, who's a cook at the elementary school. And she's been there for 12 years. We have Liz Bogers, who's who's a first grade teacher at Carlson. We have Lorraine Swartz, who's been at Carlson Elementary. And then we have Paul Steele, who's our mechanic and bus driver. Next is Brittany Pauley, who's at Carlson Elementary. As I mentioned before, our next person is Brooke Buckley, who's been here for 10 years as Director of Transportation. And then we also have Steve Swartz, who's been here for 10 years. And we also have a group of people from Georgetown. Sam Brockman, who's been here 14 years of service. Sam, are you online? Well, if you are online, thank you very much. If you're not, still thank you very much. Next is Lorraine Singmaster at Georgetown for 13 years. And then Megan Ventura, who's been at Georgetown for 13 years. China Conlon, China Conlon, thank you. China Conlon for 12 years at Georgetown. And Sammy Clem, who's been in the district for 10 years. Ultimately, we want to thank all of you for your service. That way to the district, it means a lot to all of us. The students you've interacted with through the years probably have many stories. Funny and not so funny, or funny now and not funny then, but all those different things. So thank you very much for all your time. We have someone over there now. Oh, okay, all right. All right.
So we do not have our student board representative
I
today,
have
but
a request, the students that are here for Warren Tech need to leave as they are wondering if they can move up.
That would be fun.
yeah.
Otherwise, one of them has to wait and ride home with me and I feel very.
So with the student curriculum report, we have two students here now. I'll have them introduce themselves. I want to thank Pam Ginter for helping out with this that way. Actually, maybe you could stand up front. I'm going to ask you some questions that way. I'm not speaking at the board. But Pam Ginter helped set some things up. We were talking, I'm not sure who was talking, even it might have been in our agenda planning, I'm not sure who it was. And I started thinking about Warren Tech. We have multiple students who go to Warren Tech and gain a lot of valuable information there. Pam has facilitated that over the last 2 years. And I asked her to find me two people who would volunteer. Maybe one got voluntold to do it, but I'm not sure. Maybe they both got voluntold. But I'm just kidding. If you guys have any you want me to say, you just want me to ask you questions. Is that what it's kind of? Or you want to say what Warren Tech?
We could introduce ourselves.
That'd be
All right, yeah. My name is Donovan Duke, and I play like a bunch of sports, and I was the kid who did basketball and theater. And I go to Warren Tech for outdoor leadership in the AM.
I'm Kiera Ginter. I also play a bunch of sports. I did not do theater this year, but I go to Warren Tech for graphic design, and I'm also in the AM class.
Well, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience? You talked about the program you're in, but can you tell us a little bit about your experience at Warren Tech and maybe why you did it?
I think it was definitely like a great opportunity to meet like more people from out of the county and like learn like life skills, because mine is like outside and they want you to like be ready for the industry. So it's like you're at a job every day, but you're like learning and getting college credit for it.
Yeah, and with me, it was also just meeting a bunch of kids out of the county. Mine also has client work, so I'm actually getting real life situations. A few weeks ago, we went to Never Summer and walked around their industry and stuff. And yeah, we kind of get prepared for the real world. We get prepared for business and all of that stuff.
So as you think about the future years and other students, why would you encourage, or maybe disagree, I think you get encouraged, why would you encourage other students to do this?
I think, for example, most kids would rather take like a work study, which is like half the day of doing school and half the day of going to work or doing whatever you want. But I feel like doing like Warren Tech, it's like a great experience and you get college credit, and like the colleges that you apply for in the future look at that. And it's just a great way to like understand what you want to do for the future in your career.
And it's just a great opportunity to get out of your home school. It's a great learning experience. You get way better knowledge from it. And this year, I didn't have to take English here because I got the credit.
Yeah, that's for me for science class.
So as you talk, I think when you said something about career, going to college and things like something like that, is this an area that you're studying now that you're going to pursue in further education that way? Or are you going away from this or not? Or do you know it? Maybe you don't know yet.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good like alternative because it's like a trade school, but like something you can do in high school. And I definitely do want to work in outdoors as like an adult because that's like such a fun thing just to be like outside and getting paid to do it. I feel like that's a big point for me.
Yeah, with me, I would love to work in the art industry, so it's a good opportunity to get me started.
Any other, does board members have any questions? Specifically, Carrie Ann, possibly. Go ahead.
Just wondering, what barriers, or if any, did you experience going to Warren Tech?
Probably transportation.
Yeah,
But that's not
It's
really-
because scheduling with the school or within yourself, or?
Scheduling, I think they got the schedule figured out, but next year, I feel like it's gonna be very difficult because their schedule has changed.
Gotcha.
So I'd say next year, it's gonna be a difficult situation, but this year, I feel like it wasn't too bad.
yeah, and I also get rides from the Department of Transportation like every morning.
Right.
But my class is like rock climbing stuff and things like that, so I might have to like get rides with my parents. And the only other like factor is like we buy lunch every day, and I've lost a lot of money from buying lunch every day. That's the only thing.
Just lost lunch.
Yeah.
And just kind of talking about schedule, one thing that happens, do both of you go Monday through Thursday or do you go Monday through Friday right now? Monday through Friday. And see, there is an option this year, there's an option Monday through Thursday, depends on your program.
Yeah.
But
As long as you're in the afternoon.
yeah, but next year, all the programs are Monday through Friday,
Yeah,
which will be a change for some people who only want the 4 days.
But PM class goes to 2:50.
Yes.
Yeah. and it'll be like, so like last year they started at 7:30 and now they start at 7 or 8, but they're just like moving like to 7:20, which is like 10 minutes before what they usually do. So it's not that really big of a change once you think about it, and like all the time.
Go ahead.
Are there any award ceremonies or presentations?
There's award ceremonies for graphic design, because
Okay.
you get to create a snowboard for the summer, and then top 10 gets picked, and then there's a huge
Oh,
ceremony
that's
for that.
fantastic.
And there's like a whole bunch of opportunities with that, or at least graphic design, I don't know about.
Will you please let us know when those opportunities come up so we can come and support you, please?
And then for my class, we do like presentations where we go to like, they're like schools, I forgot, it's like CLC or something like that. It's like schools for like troubled kids, and we just like teach them a lesson and like have them like have a fun time compared to just like sitting and doing the boring work that they don't really interact with all day. So I feel like it's good to make a difference, kind of.
Board members have any other
Questions
questions?
over there?
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Maybe updates, and then we got, we'll start with the Education Association.
Hi, my name is Rachel Richardson. I'm a third grade teacher at King Murphy Elementary. And tonight I speak on behalf of Clear Creek Education Association. Thank you, board, for the opportunity to address you tonight. We're here to ask that during this challenging budgeting year, the board prioritizes stability for students by investing in people who work with them every day, our educators and administrators. Students thrive when they have consistent, experienced, and committed educators in their schools. Right now, we're facing a growing problem. We're struggling to attract and retain qualified professionals. Too many excellent educators and administrators are leaving Clear Creek or never apply in the first place because the compensation doesn't reflect the level of responsibility, commitment, education, and expertise required. We understand we have a nearly $1 million district budget loss crisis, compounded by grossly insufficient state funding. Paying competitive salaries is not just a line item on the budget. It's a strategic investment in student success. A revolving door of educators and administrators hurts our schools, our communities, and most importantly, our students. As we approach another session of negotiations on May 9th, mark your calendars, we encourage the board to explore creative and bold solutions to address this issue. Whatever the path forward, we urge you to center the conversation on retaining the people who make learning possible. When educators feel valued and supported, students benefit. Let's work together to build schools where every student is taught by a committed, experienced, and stable team of professionals. Thank you for your time and commitment to our schools.
Did you see our DAC chair? Would you like to make a
Yeah, actually, what I'd
Oh,
like
it's the
to
long lost action.
share.
Right.
I don't have a ton of updates because the DAC just did the presentation, which is the culmination of the winter survey and put it all together, presented to the board. And we did that recently. But what I'd like to say to the audience, that everybody that joined here, that showed up here tonight, is no matter what you say, or as eloquent or as pointed as it is, it's going to be less impactful than if you joined your SAC or your DAC and participated all along. That's my experience. I used to come to the school board and fuss and complain during COVID. There are things I didn't like. And I found that you can actually affect change and provide effective, constructive feedback if you join, especially the SAC, which is underattended at each school, which is the School Accountability Committee. But the DAC too, if there's something at the district level that you really think needs improvement and you'd like to be part of improving it, then join us in the DAC. We'd love to see a higher level of participation from everybody here. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Say aye. King Murphy's PTA? Yes.
Do you want to start?
Here? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm Josie. I'm Josie Claymeyer. I'm the president of the King Murphy PTA.
I'm Heidi Oden, I'm the secretary.
And yeah, thank you for letting us update you on what we've been up to. We are fresh members of the King Murphy PTA board. I came on in January after our president moved away. Heidi came on last summer after the former PTA board decided that they were all finished. So we're all learning and going through existing things and trying to really refresh involvement in our group. And we, in addition to Jacob Wolf, our treasurer, have all recommitted to another year on the PTA board. And I say recommitted instead of elected because.
Both. It takes
Yeah.
both. Yeah, it takes both.
We were the only ones. I'm sure you guys can relate a little bit. So I just want to say that it's my continued goal as PTA president and part of the PTA to really bring back involvement or, get people involved. It's an everlasting challenge, and to really positively represent King Murphy within the Evergreen community. And we have some great news. Our chili cook-off, I'm not sure if we've really updated the board on the success of the chili cook-off that we had in February, where we, with a silent auction, raised $4,300. And so with the help of generous donations from the community, both in Evergreen and Idaho Springs, and we are now using that money to purchase some furniture for our first and second grade classrooms.
Primary grades.
Primary grades,
As
yeah.
well. And I'm going to note that Ms. Needham and her second grade class were the drivers of the chili cook-off. So thank you for that. And Sally Sprung, who I think I saw your lovely face here too, she was here, spearheaded the auction. So thank you to Sally.
Yes, and Jill Kogel helped a lot with giving us tips from her past experiences, PTA member, and helping us with the silent auction and getting some really good donations. So it really is a showcase of how it is a parent-teacher association. We can't do what we do with PTA without the teachers at King Murphy. And I feel like I want to call them legacy members. Their experience with the school, their longevity with the school allows them to have the knowledge and the dedication to these kinds of fundraisers and events and efforts that strengthen our community and, really bring things to the school that we need. And that's also showcased by some upcoming events that we have. The Parents' Night Out, that's led by teachers, four teachers. And in addition to some parent volunteers. And then there's the Smoothie and a Movie coming up in early May. That's another thing. Parents pay $25 a student, and that, right? $30 a student, and then $25 for additional siblings to come to these after-school events and spend special time with their teachers doing something fun. And then of course we have another one coming up in May with Rory, a King Murphy parent who has a lot of wilderness skills that he'll be sharing with students. But again, this kind of stuff does not happen with our lovely staff and teachers, and who, again, are able to do this because we can support them, and they have been here long enough to share their knowledge and their dedication and expertise, with us as a PTA and share that load. And then another exciting thing, spearheaded by Polly Fisher, our kindergarten teacher, we have a new sustainability committee. And that was sort of kicked off with her inviting the Evergreen Sustainability Alliance and a Denver-based nonprofit called We Don't Waste to the school to do an audit of the waste that comes out of the King Murphy cafeteria. So what they did is they came and they separated out the food waste that was coming from the school lunches into different buckets to gather data on what was being thrown away and why. And then I joined Polly in attending Evergreen Middle School on a Friday to observe their program where they do the same thing. And the food waste goes to an industrial compost collection site facilitated by Evergreen Sustainability Alliance that then goes down the hill to Kingsburg. And it was really enlightening because in addition to collecting the food waste and diverting that, they also divert the liquid waste into a bucket, and they stack the trays so that they cut their trash amount, like the number of trash bags that they have, in half or more than half. So the goal of, learning about this program is to maybe implement it in King Murphy next year with the help of some volunteers, both student and parents, hopefully, and lessen the amount of trash that we get in our cafeteria and inspire more sustainability efforts. I think it's also really strong in joining Evergreen Sustainability Alliance and those kinds of efforts in Evergreen and becoming visible along with the other schools saying hey, we do this too. So, and then we are also working on the end of the year carnival and sixth grade continuation. which are exciting things. Do you want to
Yeah.
take it from here?
Along with, the idea of being more visible in Evergreen, King Murphy, we are uniquely placed and located as far as increasing enrollment in the district. And as a PTA, we are aware of that. And, we're working to come up with some plans and some ideas to create more visibility. We put a blurb in our newsletter this week, Mr. Bain's newsletter, about reviewing King Murphy online. So if you're here and you are a King Murphy affiliated human or love King Murphy, please go review it on Google or on Great Schools. We can pull in Jeffco people. We're better.
And we
can
are
pull
doing
them in.
that, yeah.
We're doing that, and we can suck them in because we're wonderful up there. And so, we're doing that. We're talking about trying to create pre-K liaison parents in the schools. So when we have new pre-K families coming in, having parents talk with them, welcome them, orienting them to the school, encouraging them to continue on in King Murphy, because we do get some kiddos in our pre-K program who are in Jeffco and could return to Jeffco. So we want to keep them. And so we're working on some initiatives around that as well. So I think that's an important thing for the board to be thinking about too, is there support that could be offered to King Murphy, given that we're so well placed to increase enrollment? And that's good for the entire district.
Yeah, I think our vision for the next year is to really reinforce that choice that they have made, because it really, in Evergreen where we are, is a choice to choose for students to go to King Murphy, and it is a choice that can be easily changed and hopefully will not be. Yeah. But again, I want to reiterate that the teacher part of our PTA is so strong, and we are so thankful.
Do we have any other PTA or PTO representatives? I'm not sure that I saw it. Yes. Oh, no. There was a hand. Right, the Booster Club. I thought I saw it down before, but, okay. Legislative updates.
I think we kind of.
We kind of covered that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're good there? I mean, I could give you several more updates, but I will spare you. The School Finance Act did pass through the House. I do suspect some amendments Senate approves.
Right.
I read that too.
Brandy, principal presentation from the high school.
There's a minimally flip slides over that.
I'm starting to realize that you are not all here for my presentation. So I want you to know I will try to make it short and sweet.
You just watch this.
So as they're pulling this up, I chose Clear Creek because of the direction the district was going. And anyone that's had the chance to work with me knows I'm a pretty upfront, transparent person. And I'll make it short and sweet, but I could go on and on about the amazing things that are happening at the high school. There are their ups and downs, I admit that. Chris Gould is here, so we know that math wasn't great today, just like with the power being out. I was a god for about 1 minute when I sent those kids home, and then instantly went back in and was like, oh, school's on. I was dead to them. I want you to know that. Jill was there. She witnessed it. So, yeah, it was great. So, needless to say, there really are a bunch of amazing things going on in Clear Creek. And I chose to come here because of these things. And I definitely didn't do it for money, because believe me, that is not the case. And I think when you're in education, you don't do it for the money all the time. Even though we deserve it, you do it for the calling and you do it for the payoff. And the payoff may come late, but it comes in the ways of a student going to Baylor, a student going to Cornell, a fifth grader that's invited me to their graduation. So I just want to keep that in mind as we move forward and talk about the great things of Clear Creek. We have 80 students enrolled in our high school right now, coming from a district with 2,600, 3,000. It does not hold a candle to what you can do with 171 students in 4 different grades. They get a lot of one-on-one attention. We have so many programs that you cannot offer. You can have 32 AP classes. That doesn't mean your child's going to go to an Ivy League. So please keep that in mind, that this district is great. This high school is amazing, and I would not be leaving it if it weren't for my husband. I'm currently considering, do I need a husband? I want you to know.
Watching tonight or not? Is he watching tonight?
Yeah. I love you. Okay. So, our enrollment has stayed steady for the last couple of years. I did the data, I dug in. I met with my assistant principals, I've met with parents. And so some of the things that you should know about our high school is that we're currently performing in what's called the performance level for the state. That means we are in the green. This little bitty school, the high school is, okay? So we have a 12-to-1 ratio on average. That is huge for students. That is not 35 in a class. And if you've ever had 35 freshmen in a class, you know that this is huge. So some things that we do need to work on is some attendance rate. Parents, we love you, but please bring your kids to school. Our absenteeism rate is something that we are working on. That's a goal for the high school this year. I feel like we should be transparent about that. Even if you call your child inexcused, it still shows up once you hit a certain number that we are chronically absentee. So please keep that in mind. I love vacations. I love mental health days, but we're only in school for about 170 days. So as much as you can bring them, we appreciate that. Our average SAT scores are 1,000, which is not bad at all. When you compare this to some of your larger districts, this is what you're going to see as well. And with the capability of having smaller class sizes, even though a test is not everything, this is something that we can increase and we actually have the ability to do here. So the high school goals this year were pretty simple. I'd like to increase the academic rigor and professional growth of our students. We wanted everyone to feel comfortable and be a part of something. And for a small school, we have a lot of athletes, a lot of fine arts students, and a lot of kids that are a part of multiple things in our district. And that's not always the case when you're at a bigger district. You can't always get that. You can't be in football and cross country at the same time. But here we try to make that happen. Also fostering student voice and leadership. You heard from Donna earlier and little Ginter, as I call her, and they're so excited that they get these opportunities to go to Warren Tech. And we saw that. And so we're now bringing that here to Clear Creek too. We have bike tech and snow science and entrepreneurship. And we finally I'll get to it later, but launched a CTE pathway, which is what these kids are doing at Warren Tech. We're headed in the right direction for sure. So some of the curriculum focus that we've had is PBL, which is our problem-based or project-based learning. That is actually hands-on experience in the classroom. We are trying to help our teachers know that it's not just a project and we give it to them and we move on. It includes critical thinking, analyzing, and giving them an experience to learn something by utilizing their hands and their mind, and it's not just a lecture. So every teacher was asked to do a PBL this year, and they did deliver. And so some of the things we had going on were amazing. We have career-connected learning, where the kids will get to have, interests that they couldn't necessarily get in a normal high school. Next year, all of our freshmen will be taking what's called a Career Connections class, and it's required. And it's so they can explore what their interests are and be able to take electives that actually are meaningful for them in their next high school years. So that's something new that we're adding. As far as advanced placement and honors classes, I'll go over those. We have an honors diploma. Not every district has that. So with the PBL, we have had Energy Solutions. Don't know exactly what that was. We've had something called Barbie Bungee Jump, but it gets the kids' attention. They did it in statistics, I believe. So we also even had our county commissioner forum where kids went and got to be a part of that. And it was pretty neat. Thank you, Ms. Matthews, for that. So with the redesign, I was not a part of that, but I did make it a mission to continue with it. And so that's why those career connection classes are happening for freshmen. We work with Ben Shea, who's an amazing partner. He does our ski tech, our snow science, our snow science and our bike tech. The kids absolutely love him. We have actually taken his course and now made middle school course for next year. And we've had to increase it to 2 sections so that our kids can get the experience earlier in middle school and now have that all the way throughout high school. We would like to thank the foundation because they do help us a lot in that. Daisha Kelly is not here tonight, but she is part of that amazing incubator class where Kelly read about the email, where the student gets to learn all these amazing entrepreneurship things and go on to a college where Notre Dame writes about them. Daisha also has become part of what is now called the Career Tech Pathway. Our kids can do business, marketing, entrepreneurship, and she'll help run our Career Connections classes. So we're offering a lot of neat things for our kids next year. This year, we have that work study where he said they get to go home and do nothing. That is not necessarily the case. They do have to work 75 hours to do it, but how neat is that? Like, I didn't get to do that in college or high school. I mean, college, yeah. But high school, I did not get to do that. We have internships. So we have kids that have internal internships that we've created here where they can do technology. They can be under our athletic director. We have outside internships that they get to do. And so some of the things that we offer right now are allied towing, the Clear Creek Fire Department, the Clear Creek EMS, Sheriff's Department. We even had RE/MAX reach out to us. There is this many students currently, or this is just this semester. So that's about 9 to 10. Loveland Ski Resort works with us. And so we even have a little technology assistant. But I think these are some pretty cool things that we have at the high school that not everybody gets to do. And our freshmen can start taking concurrent classes literally as a freshman. That is not normal. Normally it is juniors and seniors that can only do that. So we have made the news a few times due to our career connected learning. There's lots of news articles out there. It was a neat experience. The kids got mic'd up and if you haven't seen it, I'll send it out. It's awesome. And then speaking to the college and career fair, we had over 50 different groups here. Thank you, Pam and Daisha. It was amazing. The kids, I thought like, surely this is gonna be a mess in 30 minutes. There's gonna be all over the school. And they weren't. They were intrigued. They were engaged. I mean, the amount of people that work with us, Mountain Youth Network, all of these communities, you guys are so lucky here. I can't even tell you how amazing this district is. So the amount of AP classes we have right now, we currently have AP World, AP US, AP Government, AP Lit, and Lang alternate. And then we have AP Biology and Environmental Science that alternate. We've added an AP class next year for our freshmen so they can start getting a little taste of what that's like. And that's going to be AP Human Geography. In a wonderful world, we would love to offer biology and environmental science at the same time. But the truth is we only have 40 kids in a grade. So that is why sometimes it looks like we don't offer as many. But this is pretty legit for a normal district or a larger district, as you would like to call it. And then our honors classes, we have honors English, honors biology, we have pre-calculus, statistics, and we even have a teacher here that teaches on campus to give dual credit math. You don't have to go anywhere. You just take his class and you get it. So a lot of neat academic options here. As far as activities and programs, we got to start cheer this year, so I was really excited for that. They've been part of homecoming. They're going to be in our senior parade that's about to come up, and it's just a neat thing to bring everyone together. And so esports is trying. We're really trying for esports. It's a neat thing. People get paid for it. Right now in high school, they can get paid for it. They can go to college and get scholarships. And so I urge your kids, if they play video games or if they're on their phone, go join esports, please. We have so many different things that students can be a part of. Athletics, we made it to playoffs for the first time in football. I mean, we went to state cross country. I just urge you to think about the amazing things that are actually happening here. And like I said, I'm still considering if I need a husband. So thank you guys. I made it short and sweet, and you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Mitch.
Greetings. I came prepared to present to you guys, not you guys, but it's going to be brief. Sure thing. Greetings. It's hard when you guys are on opposite sides. I have to pick. Well, thank you for the invitation. Your time's precious. I'm going to be quick. I have 3 slides and a 2-minute video, so I'm going to be out of here fast. And always, am I qualified? Thank you. And as always, the best way to learn more is to ask questions. I'd be happy to buy lunch, coffee, breakfast, whatever works. To spend time with you guys and let you know what's going on and to hear what you'd like to see us do if we're not doing something that you'd like. So to borrow from the board president's words, this is our why. We've got the words on the left and we got the picture on the right. And this is why we're here. We're here for the students, and to support the students, we're also supporting our educators and our district leaders. When I looked back at the what for the year, really it came down to, we did a lot of work with career-connected learning and capacity building. And capacity building is where we help the teachers or the district or the building grow their base, so they have more offerings for the students. This year, we were able to bring our youngest learners at both Georgetown and Carlson the opportunity to grow their own snacks. We expanded the hydroponic grow at Georgetown, and we brought hydroponics to Carlson Elementary.
You did aquaponics at Georgetown too.
Okay, thank you. So it is Georgetown's second year. They got hydroponics the first year and aquaponics this year. And they really are growing their own snacks.
What's
This
the
year-
difference between hydroponic and aquaponic?
Fish.
Fish, thank you.
I'm learning all kinds of things.
Thank you.
This year last year we had one rising senior that we supported on a summer program. He went to Cambridge and attended a medical congress because he thought he wanted to do something in medicine. Turns out he does. I don't remember exactly what, but when he graduates, he's going to go study biomedical or biochemical something. I don't remember what it is. That was kind of a pilot. We're lucky we have 2 people going this year. We have someone that's going to spend about a week learning about marine biology. Of course, we all wanted to do that when we were in high school. And we have another one that's also going to look at different medical opportunities. So that's an extension of our exploration fund. And that's where the foundation helps the students we help cover the students' out-of-pocket expenses when they're getting credit while they're still enrolled in high school. So on one end of it, we buy steel-toed boots for someone who's going to a fire academy. Sometimes we help them cover travel or summer programs, or we just pay the difference between what the school district can afford for classes at Red Rocks and what the student's real cost is. So we pick up the fees and any excess tuition for those students that are taking classes at Red Rocks, either here and doing it online or going down the hill to do it. We had a big year on literacy. We were able to introduce or establish libraries in each of our buildings. We established a Spanish language library in both Carlson Elementary and this building. And that's helping the students maintain their literacy in their home languages. You know, they're still learning lots of English, but we're supporting both of their languages. Snow Science has already got a call out. That was a big area this year, and I promise I'll stop talking about it next year. But we brought the students the opportunity to design, build, and then use their own skis, snowboards, or skateboards. So they're actually building their own equipment. And we helped out district leadership as well. We sent the superintendent to the Rural Superintendent's Academy. The district leaders across all the buildings did some work with Transcend again to help with the redesign of the district. And the Counseling Corps grant was in its first year, and that's a grant we helped bring to this building, and it will pay for one additional counselor for each of the next 3 years. So this is a picture of Brew Crew up in the right-hand corner. They are second graders at Georgetown. We got them a coffee cart. They brew the coffee and they serve it to their teachers. They earned enough money that they're all going to the wildlife refuge on the Eastern Plains in Kingsburg. They earned the money to cover getting in and the bus ride there.
And I can just add that I actually got coffee there once, and I'm scheduled to go up there next Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Nice job.
Thursday, calling it.
And that's
Good opportunity.
How do I make it go?
Yeah. Make it louder.
that as it goes.
So instead of listening to me, I thought I'd let you listen to some of the people we hopefully have impacted in a positive way. What's a presentation without numbers? Through March this year, so for the current school year, we've invested around $216,000 in programming. And that is including early learning. So it's not just in the school district, but it's covering, pretty much birth to college age students. That doesn't include roughly $35,000 that's obligated. We've got POs in place for either suppliers that are supporting the school district or teachers that have ongoing grant needs or other obligations that we made to the school district. So we know we're going to spend at least $35,000 more this year. Of that, through this year, 90,000 of it's ended up in the classroom. And last year, we awarded seven scholarships for about $87,000. I expect something similar this year. We've hit an inflection point on scholarship applications. I admit we used to have to beg for applications. Last year, we got a few more than we needed. Our portal opened Monday at 6 a.m. and 40% of our graduating classes applied. What's new? What's going on next? We recently found out that the Schools Foundation is going to be the recipient of the Henderson Operations Employee Giving Program. In years past, they have parsed out to multiple organizations within communities, and they've decided to select one organization and just give them that community's worth of giving. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we'll put it to good use.
I think I can help you. They, if I have it right, but their employees are allowed to choose, give a percentage of their paycheck to donating, and then they get a day off in return. So you would be like United Way,
So-
Warrior, like those kinds of things.
So the money goes to the United Way. There's a match from
Right.
the organization, the Henderson Operations, and then they turn around and take that money they direct it from Mile High United Way to the communities that are impacted by the mine. We are working hard with Lorraine's outdoor space. We've got 3 outdoor spaces at Carlson Elementary. We've got the expeditionary space, which is in 2 pieces on the north side of the building. And that is a student-centered design project that Lorraine and her educators are working on. It's an area that the bond fund was not able to finish. So the foundation's going to step in and do it. She envisions this being a community build. Once they'll design documentation, we're going to work with Lorraine to get the community to come in and do the work. We're starting a pilot program next week for our older high school students. It's for a medical power of attorney. Many students, even some parents, don't realize when their student turns 18, the parents don't get to help make medical decisions unless there's a document that says they can help. So this is going to give the families and the students the opportunity, if they want to list decision makers on their behalf if they can't do it. And it doesn't have to be their parents. They can pick whoever they trust and feel will make a good decision for their benefit. No idea what kind of traction we're going to get, but it's a program worth trying. I already talked about the summer explorations. One of our students, there was a slide from her. She completed her CNA this semester, and when she approached us to do it, her rationale made all the sense in the world. She wants the CNA in her pocket, so when she gets working towards her undergraduate degree in nursing, she can work as a CNA. And this summer, we're going to start a campaign to celebrate all the cool work that's happening at our elementary schools, as well as the middle school, high school, and we're calling it Where Classrooms Have No Ceilings. And that's it. Oh, got to talk about Elliot for a moment. Elliot is has a huge presence at Carlson Elementary. One of the things we did this year, and we've done every year, is provide support for the handlers of the dogs. So this year, the handler of our 3 therapy dogs, 2 in this building, 1 in Carlson, each got $500 this spring. And we give them a gift every spring. And we are funding the training of King Murphy's therapy dog. Any questions? Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Would you like to call a public comment? Yeah. Should be able to just really quick too. So as we enter our time of public comment, I want to remind everyone that our policy is 3 minutes per person. Again, thank you so much for coming to share. We will have a timer up here on the screen so that you can see, because we do have a long list and we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to share. If there are a group of you that have very, very similar comments, you are welcome to group together and have one person speak on your behalf, and we'll give you 10 minutes rather than having lots of people maybe. And I don't know what's being shared today, but that is another opportunity if you want to talk amongst yourselves to organize, because I know folks might like to get home tonight, but again, grateful that you're here. I think that covers the policy stuff because everybody's already signed up.
Okay, so up first, we have Katie Daly. She is a parent speaking on budget. Come on. Like up. What would you like?
You can stand wherever you like.
Okay, cool. Very big group. Hi, I'm Kate. I live here in Quaker County. I live in Idaho Springs. I have a 4-year-old who's at Carlson High School, and he loves it there, and we love it there. I am here probably like many of you because of just the general hubbub around the budget. And I think, sorry, I'm trying to speak from the heart and not like from a script or anything, so it's a little bumbly. I want to call out the importance of people who volunteer for positions in the board. That's awesome. And the importance of our teachers and our other parents and our community members and the people on the DAC who are angry about the budget. They're confused. They don't feel that they've been given straightforward answers or accurate information or that they're being treated with respect. These are people who are why I love living here. They're people who, you know, have helped me figure out how to get my kid into preschool and how to navigate having a wonderful but also, you know, totally chaotic 4-year-old in preschool. They're the ones who have helped me figure out how to navigate the resources in the community. They're the ones who coach my kid and, you know, give him that firm love that they need because it's really, really love that they give him. They are the ones who sub at the school. They are the ones who I will have beers with and talk about, you know, how much they care about this school district, not just for their jobs as teachers, not just for their children as students, but for other kids, some of them who they know, like my kid, and some of them who like haven't even been born yet, probably, and they just want them to grow up in a good school district. The last meeting admittedly kind of bummed me out. I think the maybe presentation that some of the conversation on social media was misinformation or a lack of personal teacher integrity, because that is so far from the truth. And I just ask that everybody get that. And we are helpful. We talk constantly about how amazing this school is and how much we love our preschool and we love all the other teachers and the people who we don't know but we have just met. We are helpful by talking about that and we are helpful by getting angry because that helps make it better. So all I ask of you guys, board, we respect you. Please also respect the people who are angry and know that when they're angry, it's because they are trying. They're trying so hard, not for themselves, but for everybody else. And we all feel it all the time, all the time. And that's why I'm here. I feel like maybe that's why.
Okay, up next is Jordan Dunbar, parent, speaking on the current status of our district.
All right, I too am nervous. I don't like to speak in front of people. So we've been here in the district for 5 years. We have one that graduated and we have 4 more still in the district. So I want to start by saying that I've spent the past month having conversations with teachers, board members, and members of our community, and sitting in on meetings to try and better understand the district's current position. I came into this process hoping to help, but if I'm being completely honest, I've mostly left feeling frustrated, defeated. The biggest red flag for me, we're in a financial crisis, yet we're building a brand new bus barn for close to $6 million. That's 3 times the amount we sold the old stadium and bus barn property for in 2019. I know hindsight is 2020, but how can we justify that kind of decision now when our budget is being cut by $1 million over the next 2 years, and we're watching enrollment drop year after year? And that brings me to what I really want to talk about tonight, because while the bus barn is a glaring example, the bigger issues are these. 1, how do we attract more students? And 2, how do we pay our teachers what they're worth and retain strong staff? So how do we attract more students? Our main source of funding is enrollment. If that continues to decline, our budget gets tighter and tighter. So where is our strategy? What are we doing to promote our schools? Are we marketing beyond social media and putting a pin on the Maps app? Can we create banners? Can we create yard signs? How about community events? Can we partner with local realtors? Families are looking elsewhere, and I don't blame them, but we need to give them a reason to stay, and better yet, a reason to come. How do we pay our teachers what they're worth and retain strong staff? We're losing administrators. We've lost extremely talented teachers, and we're not offering competitive pay. Teachers can go just a short distance down the hill and earn significantly more, like $12,000 a year more. How can we possibly retain great educators under those conditions? This is the heart of our district, not buildings, not buses, but people. If we don't take care of them, everything else falls apart. So yes, I'm upset about the bus barn,
But more than anything, I'm scared we're losing sight of what actually matters. We need a clear, transparent plan, not just to fix this year's budget, but to build a future where families want to enroll, teachers want to stay, and our schools can thrive again. And Tom, I'll be contacting you because I would love on your way out to hear what your thoughts are for the second year of the $500,000 cut.
Okay, so next is it Mary Shenberg?
Mari.
A parent speaking on support for Clear Creek schools.
So my name is Mari. I am a new school parent of a kiddo who's at King Murphy in pre-K. And he's going there just like his cousins and my niece also did, so hoping to be another family that goes through. Our hope is one day that he can graduate from the district high school, and as a new parent, it's hard to see the difficult financial situation this district finds itself in. And it's unfortunate to see distress, defensiveness, and division. I deeply appreciate and acknowledge the unpaid labor that the board does. I do know I don't even know the half of it. And I want to acknowledge also the unpaid labor that our teachers do. We should be focusing on coming together, and teachers are the backbone of everything, so we must listen to and support them. Let's all rise to the challenge before us. Now for something positive that we can all revel in. And Ms. Pippi, I'm sorry. I'm speaking to share how pre-K teacher Ms. Pippi at King Murphy has transformed not just my child's education, but our family's relationship with the outdoors. I'm not sure if you've met her, but her work deserves a spotlight and your support. She doesn't just teach, she builds community around stewardship. Innovation, her classroom feels like a nature preserve. My son came home once insisting he make gooseberry jam from wild berries like Miss Pippi showed us. Spoiler, we use store-bought, but he still called it a forager. She turned snowflakes into science experiments and animal tracks into detective games. Impact is everywhere. My kid now points out edible plants on hikes and talks about phases in the moon. Friends, older kids in the Snow Doctors program talk about the slopes with the same excitement as video games. She's not just educating, she's creating a generation that cares. Why am I telling you this? Because educators like Ms. Pippi are why families choose this district, but she can't do it alone. Whether it's funding for gear, partnerships with parks, or just recognizing and uplifting, we need to find a way to support. Thank you for supporting our teachers who turn classrooms into adventure and a lifelong love of learning. Our district is outstanding because of them. Thank you for your time, and let's hear it from the teachers.
Kristen Sanmore,
Hi.
parents speaking on improving community.
Hi. I have 3 kids in the district now for 11 years. Let me begin by thanking our board members, our educators and parents who volunteer their time to steer our children's education on a better path. No doubt we are heading in the right direction, but even with all the wonderful engagement, we have work to do to function like the team we need to be to achieve the success our children deserve. First, if you know me, you've heard me say we must improve communication. We cannot solve problems ahead of us without teamwork, but teamwork requires communication, not degradation. You cannot feign surprise that in our small, tight-knit community, the void of information fills itself up. If you want us to use the right information, you must share the right information. Accusing folks of intentional dissemination of misinformation from those who have and do not share access to the information is disingenuous and unproductive at best. Sharing bad information or complaining about when someone else shares bad information gets us nowhere. It is your responsibility as the board to correct inaccurate or incomplete information shared in these meetings, preferably with supporting documentation. Tonight went a long way to get there. Thank you. But did you realize that in recent board meetings, we have been told The comparable data of other districts shared by presenters is useless, but when the board and the superintendent share it, it justifies their position. Teacher salaries since 2022 have increased by 21% or 36.65%. Teacher salaries increased last year by 5.5%. However, the teachers only succeeded at negotiating a 3% increase. Attrition is low because our teacher attrition in 2022-23 was at the national average of 23%. But my research showed that the national average is actually 10%, inching up slightly to 15% for rural districts. Then for 2023-24, you said teacher attrition was 20%, but the representative of our teachers group said the number was 32%. And then tonight, you said that our teachers are paid at comps above comps. However, in the last meeting, Mr. Meyer shared a slide that showed the opposite. Hopefully this helps you understand why we're confused and why there's misinformation. I encourage you to continue to be honest and forthcoming about the needs of our schools and open to assistance from our wonderful families and businesses as we try to create solutions for Clear Creek. Soliciting input, ideas, involvement from our community to reflect in your actions is your job. Share actual comparables, not just the comparables to suit your current narrative. There are so many possible districts to benchmark from, but rarely will the same set of comps work for. I also need to encourage you, in contentious discussions, I'd encourage you to, and
Kevin Manware?
Hello, my name is Kevin Manwarren. Thank you for the time to speak. Follow up on my wife's earlier comments. Today we should start with the most contentious topic our community seems to be facing, whether our teachers are making a competitive wage. Thank you for listening to teachers, parents in our community in 2018 who asked that our teachers be paid in a way that makes them want to come and remain in our district. But touting that pay is better does not mean that this effort is completed and ready to be rolled back by $1 million over the next 2 school years. Our amazing teachers deserve a wage with which they can live in our county while keeping comparable districts from luring them away or at or after hire. It is time to let our teachers know that they are our star players on the team, whether or not we can find the perfect comparables. We agree with you that teacher attrition does not seem to be the problem we need to solve first. Administration attrition has been much more problematic. In our 11 years in the district, every year but 2 has brought a new superintendent and or new principal. And next year seems to be even worse than usual. But who picks up the slack after left each year? Who has to make the biggest adjustments with each administrator while prioritizing our kids' education and well-being? At King Murphy, I can say with 100% certainty that has been our amazing teachers, which is why we cannot afford to lose them or have them focused on anything but educating our kids. No matter the reason or whether teacher or administration, attrition costs money. Hiring, onboarding, training, lapses in instruction for weeks or months, and offboarding these positions over and over again takes taxpayer dollars out of the hands of our students and our educators. Please help us understand how to make sure our teachers get paid fairly. Thank you for your time.
Annie Couture? As a chicken wrangler who raises birds for soil improvement, I know how to turn, well, shit into gold. And I think that's kind of the moment we're in. This district is in transition. We're moving through some hard stuff, but I believe we're being invited to dig deeper and help shape a vision for Clear Creek's future. My name is Annie Couture. My daughter just started 8th grade here, and I've been homeschooling for over a decade, from kindergarten through 11th grade. I also serve on the DAC board and have been learning a lot about the needs and opportunities facing our district. I see the challenges, we all do, and I'm not without concerns, but I'd like to put a few cards on the table that could lead to future funding and a stronger foundation. As a homeschooling parent who's explored different approaches to education for over a decade, I've seen both innovative tech and deep reconnection through land, and I've seen both models work. not as opposites, but as complements. Many homeschool families also have children in public school. We often have one foot in each world, using a wide range of tools to support our kids and spark their learning. I also see a district that values its educators and is struggling to retain them despite efforts to raise pay. I believe we can support our teachers by bringing in more funding and giving them new ways to lead and earn. Each homeschooler who enrolls in a part-time program brings funding, but the potential goes farther. If we support teachers as creators, they can develop recorded lessons, digital content, podcasts, or resources for platforms like Teachers Pay Teachers or OutSchool. These tools can serve Clear Creek students and also generate income, ongoing income, for the educators who make them. We can take this one step further by reimagining underused district spaces like the old elementary school in Idaho Springs. With some repair and creativity, it could become a community hub, a launchpad for student-led businesses, a rental space that supports the district financially. These students know this community and they deserve to help shape its future. And we can also build momentum right now with something simple, a car wash or a car show, to raise funds for bathroom repairs. It may sound small, but it's visible, doable, and builds pride, trust, and connection. And that's how change begins. So let me circle back. I do not think that Clear Creek is shit, not at all. I think it's rich soil. And I believe, and as someone who's turned compost into gold in my garden, I believe transformation is possible here too. As someone who lives with a bit of anxiety, I know what it means to sit with fear and still move forward. I imagine many of you do too. And I believe the best way to move through fear into courage is with action, with community, with showing up. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening and considering this one card in the deck. Whether or not it's the right fit, I hope it sparks new ideas. Realm of possibility, because we have everything we
Thank you, Annie.
but more connected, courageous. Sandy Schuessler?
So I was trained by that Mitch guy, and I'm going to present to the board. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be heard that way. I'm going to go this way so I can see all of you. Hi. Good evening. My name's Sandy Schuessler. Some of you might know that I'm a parent in the district. I also have children. I'm also a former school board president. Some things you might not know about me is that I'm also a union member with the Denver Classroom Teachers Association, and that both my in-laws graduated from Clear Creek schools, and so did my husband. I'm here tonight because the moment is not business as usual. Our district is on the edge of a financial cliff. I'm not using that phrase lightly. The term insolvent means that there may not be any more money to operate our school as we know them. As of this month, over 40 school districts in Colorado have already been forced to cut programs, lay off staff, and dip into emergency reserves just to survive. Ours could be next. And when that happens, it doesn't just affect a few families, it ripples to the entire community. Class sizes grow, programs disappear, burnout spreads, and schools lose the very people that make them strong. I've lived this before. My husband taught in the district for 26 years. We endured a 5-year pay freeze, and I remember the stress, the impossible choices, and the weight on our educators. That was then, but this is now, and the stakes are even higher. I want to be clear, this is not just the school board's problem to solve. If you're a taxpayer, a business owner, a voter, this is your school district. If you live here, your property value, your workforce, your local economy, all of it is shaped by the health of our public schools. And right now, our schools are asking for help. For the folks that are not already doing so, that starts with showing up, learn about the budget, join your school accountability committee, read about a board agenda, ask a question, talk to a teacher, vote for school funding. This is the time to pay attention before it's too late to fix it. I also want to speak plainly about the role of our teachers and their union. When school board members and unions work together, outcomes are better for everyone. This isn't speculation, this is backed by national research. Collaborative districts see higher student achievement, stronger staff retention, and a healthier school climate. Collaboration isn't a luxury, it's a strategy. Our district is lucky to have local control, but that only works when the local people engage. That includes a ballot measure that this year to keep our district afloat that I'm in. If that includes hard budget decisions, I'm still in because the alternative is unacceptable. Board members, I want to thank you not only for your leadership today, but for showing up in a time when it would be easier to point fingers and walk away. I know that tensions are high and it can feel like everyone is looking for someone to blame. But the truth is no single board, no one superintendent, and no one group of people created the financial challenges we are facing. What matters now is how we move forward together. We need to work with the board that exists today and the board that will be here tomorrow, because the health of our district shouldn't depend on election cycles. Protect what matters most to our students and our schools.
All right, Heidi Arder. I'm speaking now as a parent of two King Murphy kiddos. One is in 3rd grade, one in 6th, about to join our wonderful middle school. I've been a King Murphy parent for 7 years. My oldest daughter began in kindergarten. I got a personalized, beautiful tour from Tony Pasco, who was the principal at the time. 30 minutes or more with Polly Fisher, our esteemed Polly Fisher, and that convinced me that King Murphy was a place to be. I toured Bergen and it felt like an institution. And I toured King Murphy and it felt like a school out of a children's book. It was lovely. People were happy, and kids and teachers there are still happy to be there and happy to be doing the work that they're doing despite the challenges. As a parent and this year as a PTA board member, I've witnessed the science and the magic of school administration and teachers and students and families all working together toward a common goal. I interpret the fact that so many parents are here tonight as being representative of our passion and commitment to our educators. And yes, this seems to be a particularly well-attended meeting, but I'm finding myself a little frustrated by comments made by a couple of board members, essentially saying that people could have been attending board meetings all along. I'm a PTA board member, and our PTA board meetings are also sparsely attended. The stakes are not the same, I understand that, between PTA and the school board. But our approach to that is to maintain an ongoing conversation about how to engage our families, to be curious about barriers to engagement, and to be innovative, and not to disparage people or judge people about not attending. Sitting here tonight, it's clear to me there's a disconnect between the board and many teachers and community members. It's obvious there's hurt on both sides of this. Everybody's working hard and has noble intentions. As has been said, school district accounting is complex and opaque. There's a lot of fear, and when people are scared, they say the wrong things. It sounds like a lot of people in the community are venting fear in inappropriate ways. I don't presume to know all the reasons for this disconnect, but it might behoove the board and the district level folks, because you are the ones with the burden of power and decision-making, to consider when and how this disconnect has happened, and this loss of trust, and be curious as to steps to rebuild it. Thank you.
Alicia, you? I thought the list was longer. Good evening. Did you start it? I can start it just a second. Okay. I'm Alicia Needham, 2nd grade teacher at King Murphy Elementary. I spoke to the board before. I'm here tonight to speak again in response, but this time it's in response to the April community nugget, which expressed concern over the rising cost of educator salaries. I'd like to offer a different lens in which to view that, and one that I hope centers us back on our purpose. I'd also like to provide an edit to the earlier proposal, or the earlier speech given by our board member. King Murphy has taken a cut to a position. We are short in instructional coach, not only because she's retiring, but also because that's a decision that our school made to help the budget. I would like us to instead view educators as not a rising cost. I urge us to recognize them as the district's most valuable investment. Educators are not simply a budget line item. They are the foundation of what we do. The core mission of our district is to educate children, and the people who carry out that mission every day are teachers. We don't refer to doctors as a cost or to hospitals. or mechanics as a cost to an airline. We recognize that without them, the entire operation would fail. The same is true here. Without skilled, passionate educators, those who plan lessons, nurture students, support mental health, guide social growth, and respond to thousands of unseen needs, there's no education. Yes, educator salaries did rise over time. That's not a liability. That's a reflection of growth, expertise, and the reality of maintaining excellence. Like any successful organization, the strength of our product, our students' education, depends entirely of the strength of our people. What sets our district apart? Our teachers. When we talk about the cost of educators in the same breath as supplies or maintenance or buses, we risk sending a message that the people who power our classrooms are replaceable and secondary. I am upset. But educators are not a cost to be controlled. They are the resource that drives everything forward. If we truly believed in preparing students for the future, then investing in professionals who teach, mentor, and guide them must remain our top priority. Thank you for your time, and I'd also like to say I do feel a significant disconnect. I am taking a risk saying that to my board, but I don't feel appreciated. I feel like fighting for my salary and asking for an increase every year is a slap in the face.
Pam Jason?
Hi, my name is Ann Hager, and I currently have 2 students in the high school. I've been a parent in this district for over 16 years, and during that time, I've witnessed both the highs and the lows. We've had some truly wonderful teachers come into the district, dedicated, passionate educators who have made a real difference in our kids' lives. Thankfully, some of them have stayed, but unfortunately, too many have left. The board often points to retirement or relocation as the reasons behind these departures, and while that's sometimes true, it's not the whole story. We need to acknowledge that some of these losses stem from deeper issues that need to be addressed if we want to keep and attract high-quality educators. Unfortunately, this is not the first time our district has faced financial challenges. Back in 2010-11, we faced a projected shortfall of $550,000. The district managed to cover $430,000. Then again in 2016, with the looming closure of the Henderson mine, we had to make another round of cuts, again around $500,000. And now, here we are once more. The pattern is clear. The district continues to face significant financial hurdles, and each time we're forced to make difficult choices that impact our students, our teachers, and our community. But here's the thing. We've gotten through tough times before by working together, being creative, and making decisions that reflect our core values. Let's not lose sight of what matters most: the quality of education we provide for our kids and the support we give our teachers and staff. Our students deserve stability. Our teachers deserve respect and resources. And our community deserves transparency and leadership that prioritizes long-term solutions, not just short-term fixes. Thank you very much.
Tyler Toth?
Hi, my name is Tyler Tung, and I was a student at King Murphy. I also graduated from this high school, and I got a great education. I think a lot of that was partly due to the legendary teachers that were here when I went through here. They'd been here 20 plus years, or 4 or 5 of them, and it was great. I have a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old in King Murphy, and I'm a small business owner. I have been for almost 15 years. And to me, this problem is, it's just like a sales problem, right? When I've had hard times financially, I've never been able to cut my budget into profitability. Like, you have to increase your sales. So how do we increase enrollment? We gotta make an investment. It's not just gonna happen. And I think the investment is gonna be in the teachers and attracting and retaining talent. Also all these awesome programs that we talked about tonight, but we're facing like a huge opportunity because you saw in the enrollment graph, it's like that, right? So we need to keep the momentum. Really, we gotta cling to that. We gotta go all in. And so like, where do we find the money for an investment? I think it's, I think the answer might be in the rainy day fund, right? Which is, I think a little bit over our stated goal of how much money we want in there, but it's significantly over the goal that's set by the state and the average of all the other districts in the state. So I'm like, okay, that's something to work with, maybe, you know, so. That's my idea. Thank you guys for your presentation. It answered a lot of questions, and I think the whole idea of, you know, we need to take a role in talking about the school and getting other parents, obviously we do, but like, we need to just do full court press on like marketing, whatever. But I think it's all about the teachers, so thank you.
Arlene Gutierrez.
Good evening, school board. You asked, I'm sorry, I'm the director and teacher at King Murphy Mountain Preschool. And you asked us and we delivered on growing our program. 4 years ago, we had 16 students enrolled with a phenomenal teacher who then under the district opened up a second classroom. And for 3 years, we were in the mid-20s in our enrollment. Next year, we already have 35 students enrolled. Those are coming from both Jeffco and Clear Creek County. In anticipation of this, we have been trying to get the district to help us build our classrooms yet again, and we're so far not having much success with that. It's the people who are coming are saying it's the quality of our program offerings. We offer a unique learning opportunities both in nature and in the classroom. We do hydroponic growing. We do junior snow ranger program that our kids have all gotten certified in, which includes snowshoeing. They've learned how to forage. They've learned how to make food from what they forage. And they are also completely ready academically for kindergarten. They are reading ready on day one. The parents are looking for that, and that's why they're coming. We are not being accommodated for having delivered what you asked. You said previously that you've made some positive social media suggestions that you wished you had seen but hadn't, then you must not have been reading our posts. We have been posting to the community in Jeffco and here about our program, saying all of the things that you suggested we might say. So somehow you missed our social media posts, I suppose. We have a new beautiful classrooms thanks to the district, but they are very tiny. Right now you're asking us to put 20 kids into a class size with the wonderful Miss Pippi next year, into a class size that is so small, it is ridiculous. When we heard from licensing that we were not putting our mats, they suggested far enough apart for nap time. They suggested that maybe we take out the furniture every day, move the furniture in and out to have enough room. I've seen Sunny Vincent multiple times a month, thankfully. I used to see Q regularly. I have not ever seen a single person who makes decisions about what's happening in my classroom. No one has come to see what it looks like to have 20 kids smack. Before you make your decision, you should come. And thank you.
Jill Coco.
Hi, my name's Jill Coco. I have worked in this district as a para, as a substitute teacher, and I've had the good fortune to be a kindergarten teacher this year, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. In addition to that, I have been in this district since 2002 with my son, all the way till my daughter graduated in 2022. So 20 straight years as a parent, as a volunteer. I ran Snow Dodgers. I was president of the Booster Club. I was president of PTA. I have invested a lot of time and energy, and I do appreciate the school board. I will never do school board for reasons that are very clear. But to say that you're not at these meetings, that you're not invested in this district is absolutely ridiculous. I don't make very many school board meetings. I am totally invested in this district. So I think you need to think about how those comments affect and offend people who find many, many ways to invest in this district, and it doesn't mean that you have to be at this meeting. The other thing that I am gonna say is that I do not understand school finance, and I do 100% believe you guys that it is a complicated thing. I had a speech, I'm not even gonna use it for this talk. And it's a very complicated thing, but in the letter that came out in the district update, you guys said that you were trying to stave off doing more challenging things, making more challenging cuts for a while. So if these things are only going to extend having to do things for another year or for a while, I think that we should look at how we can increase things in this district by making investments. I think back to some quote that was probably given to me by my parents or by a teacher that says that it's better to have tried and failed than not try at all. So if this district becomes insolvent, I would much rather say, I invested in an extra teacher so we can keep small class sizes. I invested in another para or another teacher at the preschool level so we can grow this district from the bottom up. I would much rather say, I am sorry this district has failed, but I invested everything I could than saying, hey, we went down to bare bones. We cut everything we could cut. We made bigger class sizes than Jeffco. We did all of the cuts to make it run as lean as we can, and we still failed as a district. I would much rather hear all the wonderful things we did and how hard we tried to keep this district small and the way it is, everything.
Tom Harvey?
Where to stand? In the past, I have spoken out against BOE decisions that I disagreed with. But that's not my goal tonight. I'm not going to be as grumpy as I normally am. I am speaking in support of our school district, this board, our administration, what's left of it. Teachers, and especially our students, of which I have two, a 10th grader and a 5th grader. They've gone through the system all the way. I am continuously amazed at the fantastic families that have made the commitment to attend our schools. So we must do all we can to give them the best possible education. Now, I could talk about financial management, taking care of our teachers, athletics, on and on. But the driver behind every issue is student enrollment. I'm Captain Obvious here. Without students, nothing else matters. It stands to reason, therefore, that we focus our attention on increasing student enrollment. We should immediately form a task force, laser focused on student enrollment. Many of us successfully promote Clear Creek, but our current efforts are fragmented and disorganized. To help the task force, we need to do the following. Provide data analysis that details county demographics, specifically identifying all families with school-aged children who could be attending Clear Creek but are not, including homeschooled, unschooled, those who choose to go elsewhere, like Evergreen, etc. We need to know the exact numbers and who they are so that we can engage with them. We will develop plans to inform those families why they should attend Clear Creek. To do so, we must develop a list of success attributes that we offer that make us great. We have so much to be proud about that's been talked about tonight. Our long tenured teachers, athletics, band, musical, plays, and our academics. Somehow we have students going to the best colleges and all colleges. We're good at that, big and small, some of the finest institutions in the world. We have technical programs that teach skills that enable our graduates to earn a good living doing what they love. These attributes need to be compiled into one easy-to-use document, distributed far and wide and strategically marketed to all our potential audiences. This is just a start. The task force will dig deeper and do more. We have to take strong and definitive action now to save our school districts. And the last thing I want to say, well, I don't have time to say it.
We're gonna get a theme from anything I say tonight, and it's pay attention, get involved. Jordan mentioned the bus choir. There weren't enough people paying attention, I think, at the time. No, if there were, we wouldn't have done that. It didn't make sense financially, in my opinion. And some people here agree with that. That's what prompted me to get involved in the DAC. The SAC is just as important in each of your schools. Pay attention, get involved, stay involved. A lot of you have young kids here, which is awesome. If I had advice to give to myself 10 years ago, get involved 10 years ago. Because then I could see these things coming. Kelly said that this budget issue isn't new, it's not. But she also said that we've got to be cheerleaders for our district, because outside our district, we are who the people look at when they're considering coming to our school. And if we're beating ourselves up and we're a circular firing squad, nobody wants to come here. So let's build ourselves up, make good decisions, pay attention, and get involved. Thanks. I will send you an application.
All right, Addie, Augustine?
I think she
All right, that's all then.
How did she this week?
Budget work.
Board members, I was gonna review things that I sent you, Kristen sent you yesterday, or something like that. I think that is significantly different than what was on there. Do want to emphasize, we tried to keep things as far away from students as possible. We talked about that. It does get into the 500,000. We talked about the director of teaching and learning, reducing that to half. Had some conversations about grants with that as well and how that impacts that. I mentioned, I think, the last meeting, and I mentioned in notes to you as well, that I think there's some other people that can pick up on some of that stuff. We also have some grant money to allocate to possibly work on that as well. So we're working on that. We're combining some things in the middle school, high school office with the registered position, and we used to be Tiffany. She moved out to the front desk. So we're combining that. We're reducing one position in the middle school, high school office. That way that will work well, we believe it will.
Is that what's already happening?
Yes, well, no, not exactly, because we do have Tammy in back, who's part-time, where she used to be, she's not part-time, she was filling in at the district office, and she moved over here, but that will be a position that will be eliminated, yes. We, based on numbers of multilingual multilingual para, we do not need that anymore based on our numbers that we have. Those numbers that went down from around 20 to single digits. So there, talking with Scott Bain at King Murphy about the kindergarten, moving to first grade. That was a position we added at the start of the school year. As they move on to first grade, from kindergarten to first grade, we're eliminating that second section at this time. There is something to recognize too, and there's like $540,000 in budget cuts. But you want to have a little bit of a cushion there too, in case, let's say, we talk about increase in enrollment at King Murphy or wherever that may be. If you have a class of games, for example, if that class gains 3 or 4 kids over the summer, we're gonna have to do something. Whether that's another section or whether that's a para or something, there's always has to be some recognition, as people mentioned tonight, of it's about kids and doing what's best for kids. So that's what we're looking at right now, we're doing right now. Someone mentioned the instructional coach at King Murphy. That individual is retiring. We're not replacing that at this time. Just recognizing that where we're at. We also are the instructional coach at Carlson is going to be doing some more intervention and non-instructional coaching, moving that around. So we do not have any instructional coaches in the district. We do not have any here this year as well. Moving some other staffing around. We talk about specials. We're not eliminating specials, as you mentioned earlier today, or it was you, maybe some other people as well. We're not eliminating specials. At Carlson, as we mentioned, we are moving technology more into the classroom, more integrated in the classroom. Some people would say that's a very good idea to make it immersed within the classroom itself. And then in the library, we're not eliminating that position, but we're gonna have a para in the library, paraprofessional in the library. And then we also had some reduction of staff in instructional areas through attrition or schedule adjustments. And a lot of that has happened with the middle school, high school with a few contracts that way and stuff like that, that we do not need some of those positions anymore. Based on the change of schedule and based on needs that way. And then technology savings, someone mentioned technology savings. Earlier we talked about this at the last meeting too, but we're saving roughly $95,000 on that. And I think that's a conservative number, because I think there may be some more coming about. Some of that's through bulk purchasing and just getting better programs, but at a lesser price. So that's some aspects to be aware of right there. Questions from the board that way?
I would be curious to discuss a little more about the middle school, high school register. That's a very, very important position that literally plots out a student's success throughout their career in our school system. And if there isn't that person to help them with the continuity and say, hey, listen, this credit's not being met, and you're gonna fail to make your goal. And if we don't,
That's being housed more in Pam Ginter's position.
Well, I think there's a couple things with that.
So
I think you're bringing up some very good questions. And I think, as you mentioned, that's handled somewhat with Pam in that position. But also remember, we haven't had official school counselors, not mental health counselors, school counselors. We will have 2 coming on next year. As a former high school counselor, that was my role. The register was actually, in a size of district like this, that is pretty common to be in the counselor's role. We also have Tiffany, who is now at the front desk in the office, who used to be the registrar, even though it was only for a few months or whatever the case was. So we have that person there as well. Just talking with Brandy and talking with others, we really believe that is something that can happen very easily. I feel very confident with that, actually. I understand what you're saying, though. It's important to recognize, does this person have the credits they're supposed to be having as they're going through? That's partly a scheduling thing with the school counselors to recognize that as well as they're going through. And that's typical.
So we're gonna have 2 school counselors next year.
Wait, can I clarify that? One is through general fund, one is through the school counselor grant.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
And so
Mitch talked
the year
about it, someone
after
talked
that,
about
we
it.
may not have that second counselor because of the grant?
Yeah, it's a 3-year,
Okay,
3-year
that
position
helps.
that way, yes.
I just want to impress upon, the importance of that position and when my child was going through the school system, we did not have that support. We actually had to hire somebody outside of the school system to get them through to the system, to get their scholarships, to get their goals.
I feel confident that that is being handled very well. I think it will be
With some
handled very well.
continuity and-
Yes, I think it'll be handled very well.
A
I
student will
feel,
show up and know that that person is going to be guiding them throughout their high school career.
I feel very confident with that.
You guys heard me.
You know what, that's a relevant question. They all are, but that's another relevant question.
It's a very, I feel that that's more student facing than a lot of the other positions that you went through. And, I just want to be clear that we didn't direct to cut 500,000. We said, bring us options for 500,000, just so everybody's clear on that.
Thank you.
Any
Other
other
questions?
All right. So, Facilities Long Range Planning Committee. This has been a long time coming. I'm
Oh,
excited.
I have one other thing on budget too. One other thing on budget, this is, I think I sent this to board members and notes too, but the budget will be posted on, once it's rolled over. That way, it'll be posted online on May 8th, that way, just to be some requirements that way, so May 8th.
The budget draft.
The budget, yeah, thank you. It's not the official budget, it's the budget draft for everyone to look at. Just so, anyway. Sorry about that.
We look forward to lots of feedback. Hint, hint.
Will we have, like, where we have the thing on our website where people can give feedback on our policies, can we have something about our budget to get feedback on the budget, on that same, that way we can kind of capture? So that not everybody has to come to the meeting.
I think we can look at that in budget comments that way. That's
Every
a-
avenue that we can get to collect
Yeah.
feedback.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, facilities.
Facilities, so we talked about a long-range planning committee. As I mentioned at the study session, Kelly and Carrie Ann attended a meeting with myself and Aaron and Kristen and Rachel, I think, from Jacobs, whoever else may have been there. And just looking at that, I drafted, this is not an official letter, I just drafted a letter somewhat based upon the letter for the CAP citizens team for the bond. I used that as a template, changed a bunch of things that didn't fit with this, but I use this as a draft that we could send out to our families, that we could send out to people in the community, whatever the case may be, put it online, whatever the case is, I guess. But first, I think we want to know, do we want to move forward with something like that and discussion about that? So I'm going to be quiet and let all of you for a while.
I think for all of the reasons that Kelly and I hashed out during the study session, what we learned with the professionals that were kind of guiding us through this process is that this is a no-brainer for our community, and it's something that we will benefit from getting the input from community members as we're moving through the ongoing physical needs of our school district.
I would just add how important it is to have. The bond was tremendous and I'm proud of it. I hope the community is very proud of it. And it scratched the surface of the capital needs that we have in our district. I do appreciate that we refer to this building as the new school. This building is not new. This building is halfway through its usable life in terms of kind of school buildings. And so the need to think about how we take care of our facilities is critical, and it is ongoing. And that is what a long-range planning committee does, is really takes a look at all of the things, looks at the condition index, which we have built, and a matrix of kind of how to stagger the maintenance and replacement. And that input from the community is critical for that. So I do think it is part of, I'm not sure where Ms. Manwaring went, but it is part of that long-range budget sustainability plan, is to be able to prioritize and build a long-term, long-range planning committee for how we continue to tackle the incredible amount of money that it will take to keep all of our facilities up to speed. And I'll share that even, new Carlson, which is in a very old building, isn't new either. It's a very old building, and it already has things that we know that we're going to need to do and replace over time. And so those are already put on this condition index. So it's really important that we hear from the community what those priorities are. I think this is really important, and it is something that I think stays in the district kind of in perpetuity, because things always need fixed, replaced, and funded.
I think when you talk about, just emphasize, we talk about this is the new school, we're putting a new roof on it this year. So it's not a new school, and just to recognize that way too. So yeah.
So it's an advisory committee.
I would look for a motion.
Do we need a motion to move forward with the idea?
I guess,
Are we ready to send it out?
I guess I would like some direction if you want me to send this letter out in some manner to our families, put it on social media. I also have a list of other people that I send things to, maybe community business owners and things like that way too.
I just have a couple of small edits that I think.
If you want to get those edits to me, I will gladly send it out.
Okay.
let's plan on maybe Monday, I'll send that out. If I
That's
get
great.
Edits,
Okay.
sometime
sounds
early
good.
next week.
That gives me a
Edits. It's not a perfect document. I think at the
No,
end, I
it's-
even
it's a
left a
great-
bunch of dots, like what else do you want? So,
Thank you. I don't think you need.
I think we can just say yes, please, thank you. The old Carlson proposal.
OC.
so you've had that, it's moving forward. It's been tentatively approved. But we just had a final approval tonight. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
I'd be happy to, because we still have an audience. So as you likely know, the building, the old Carlson has been put on the market, and we did have a couple of offers for the building. And we did tentatively approve a purchase and sale agreement with an entity to take over, well, not to take over, to buy that building, to purchase that building. So what we are looking to do tonight is formalize that decision that we made, and that we directed Tom to do to really move forward with that purchase and sale agreement. The reason that we need to officially ratify that tonight is because of the timing that that developer had in order to apply for their first round of MyTech and LIHTC tax credits. Those are middle income housing tax credits and low income housing tax credits. And it is a lengthy and a long process. So we didn't want our budget or our board meeting calendar to impact their ability to meet those first initial critical deadlines, which their first one was St. Patrick's Day. So we needed to kind of create this little buffer space. So we are excited about this. We do believe the proposal that we accepted did advance the community goals that we heard loud and clear about what we are looking for that facility. And so with that, I would make the motion that we formally ratify the purchase and sale agreement for Old Carlson.
I'll second. I would also like to add before we do
Gonna
our
ask for
vote.
discussion, please. Yeah.
That, just to make it clear that when we do hopefully sell the building and the money and the proceeds from that are not proceeds that we're actually allowed to use in the operational fund. We have to use that for the capital projects that, for our buildings. It's a law, that's what we have to do. So I just want to make it clear to everybody that just because we end up with a sale of OC, that we wouldn't have a huge chunk of money to dump into our operations. I just wanted to make that clear.
Any other questions or comments? Then we'll move to roll.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes. Title IX policies, these are under first read. We did an emergency passage of those. We can pass them in all at once today, unless there are any questions or concerns about any of those policies.
And these were put out online, there were no comments on them.
Thank you.
I verified that. So.
And for those of you that are hearing that for the first time, when you go to our website, you will see that we post the policies and that we are asking for feedback on the policy.
The emails go out to all of the, at least parents. And
Board members don't get them, but you will see that on the website as well.
I would move to approve the Title IX policies on first read.
I'll second that.
All right, Flanagan?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes. Policy AC-R-3, we pulled out of some previous policy readings. This is the sexual harassment investigation procedures policy. So we really wanted to spend some time to make sure that the community had a chance to provide some feedback. But I think we also got it.
There's no feedback on that, but this is a policy that we do not currently have in place. But the CASB policy is attached there, and Colorado school districts, this is sent directly made, Colorado school districts are required by law to adopt a policy and regulations or procedures on the subject, and the law contains some specific direction as to the content of the language. So that's first read on that.
So I would look for a motion to approve that.
I so move on first read.
I'll second.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes. We'll move on to our consent agenda. That includes minutes from our March 4th study session and March 13th business meeting and a staffing update.
So moved.
I'll second.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
McHugh. Moore.
Yes. We have a meeting with commissioners coming up on May 13th. Are there any agenda items for that you'd be interested in? There were a couple items that they put forward. They wanted to discuss budget, both theirs and ours, because
That would have been the thing,
there was one other item, I thought they looked it up.
Early childhood.
Oh, yes, thank you. Which also,
What was it?
early childcare, which, affects us all, so.
I think it would be worth putting on just an update around the SRS funds. I know an update, but I think we should talk about it a little bit further. Those are the Secure Rural Schools funds. They are allocated through the federal government. They're also part of the payment in lieu of taxes, which is a big chunk of money that the federal government sends to counties that have a disproportionate amount of public land where they are not able to collect as much property taxes. And a portion of that PILT is also described as the Secure Rural Schools. It does have a lot to do with timber and bringing back the timber industry throughout the country. Right now, it does not look like those funds will be sent to counties. And the way that funding structure looks like is the county gets a percentage of this overall, and then they are required by law to give a portion of that to the school district. They obviously can't give that to us if they don't have it. So they have to do 25% to us, 25% to fund road and bridges, and then they have some discretion for what they do with the remaining 50%. It does not at this moment in time look that will be reauthorized at the federal level. So if you are interested in advocating to federal Congress folks, I would recommend that you put this on your list. Right now in Colorado, Michael Bennett is supportive of this, Jeff Hurd is on this, and also Joe Neguse, who is a prime sponsor of the reauthorization. So if you want to reach out to your federal delegation beyond those three, I would recommend that you do that.
I think it would probably be good just to get a quick update on their housing authority efforts because, unless we're getting more families in our school district.
How about anything for our future agenda?
That's elected.
What was that?
We are, I think Tom's gonna provide it, but we are gonna get a marketing update.
Yes, you have a marketing update at the next, in fact, it's sitting at my table. I meant to bring it up, but that was just a brief overview. I will send that to you either notes this week or next week. I'll send you another overview, but then we'll talk about that at our next meeting.
Would anybody be interested in pursuing kind of that community feedback or opportunity for a committee focused on enrollment?
I think it's a great idea. I think, I think it's a great idea, but I also know that, when we're talking about, let's get the data and go with the data, we've been beating our heads on this freaking
The
table.
data is not as easy to
The
access.
data is impossible. I mean, it's like slipping sand through your hands. You cannot get that data.
If I can say one thing on CDU, when I contacted them earlier this year, they won't break down certain
No.
things to see how many students from Clear Creek go enough, because I tried to do that. I will look again and see, I do have some stuff, I think it should, with yours. Maybe I should have thought, I can't remember, but I will look at that again.
But I think, if we have willing community members that are willing to help us notch this nut, then, let's do that.
I mean, can we, now that Mr. Harvey has left, can we volunteer him to do that great idea that he had?
That was voluntold.
Yeah, can we?
He's an interested in it.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Right.
No,
I
he
mean,
would be great too.
He's
He
an
really
interested.
would.
So I mean, maybe we could follow up with him between now and then and see if he might be willing to take that on from a leadership role.
I would be willing to
I
volunteer.
feel like
to
that
do
pairs really well with communication too.
I'd be
So
happy to talk with him too, if you want to.
And now that I've got lots of free time, because I'm not doing CDOT.
So are they done with Floyd Hill now? Just kidding.
Yes. No, it now moves on to the construction team. I was on the technical team. So, but yeah, I've got phone numbers for everybody, so if they do wrong, I still know how to get a hold of them, but, or it's not wrong, but yeah. But yeah, I would love to make sure that we pursue those two things, so I'd be glad to help you kind of draft that invitation, so. Seeing no other agenda items.
I think budget's enough right now.
Okay, then I would look.
I would like to make a motion that we move into executive session. This executive session would be pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6-402 sub 4 sub E sub 1 to determine positions relative to matters subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators, specifically concerning the district's July 25th, 2023 contract for services with McPherson and Jacobson LLC.
I'll second. Hudson?
Yes.
Page?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh?
Yes.